Hello, everyone. I was going to go get something from downstairs, but I completely forgot what I was going to go get. And I already know that I'm going to remember in the middle of the live, and I would have been thinking, oh, I should have gotten it then, and now look at me now. So y'all, there's a lot to catch up on today. Okay, so we had to do this live today because I wasn't even sure if I would have an opportunity to do a live today. Hopefully y'all can hear and see me okay. I wasn't even sure if we would have the opportunity to do this today, but it was like so much stuff started coming out. I started feeling overwhelmed again, and I was like, okay, we've got to get on live. We've got to talk about some of these things. And we also had to talk about the poll winner, because I put it in the poll in the community section. So follow the poll for updates, because I'm always posting updates. Okay, I'm always posting updates in the community section, so make sure to follow that. Now, I have an intro, so we have a few things to cover in the intro. We're going to cover what were we going to cover in the intro? We're going to cover some videos that I want us to take a look at, because we are discussing some topics, and this is like trigger warning topics, but we're discussing topics like femicide. We're discussing topics that have to do with domestic abuse. We're discussing topics that can be triggering. So I did put a trigger warning in the thumbnail. Okay, so you can't say that I didn't try to help with that. But for the intro, we're going to be talking about this whole Princella situation. I don't even know. I never know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, girl. But the whole Princella situation has gotten insane, y'all. When I say, okay, so Fared Villain has been posting the stuff that she's been finding out about Princella, and some of the stuff that she's been finding out about Princella is quite mind-blowing. It's stuff that even I didn't know, y'all. And I think it's important for us to cover this because there are so many women that, from my understanding, follow this person. Like, they follow and listen to this person, right? And some of the allegations that are coming up against this person are completely wild. And when I say wild, insane. So that's going to be our intro. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the femicide, which is going to be a part of our intro, but it's going to also tie back into TikTok rich couples. There's a rich TikTok couple, and she just came out like a day ago and telling us that she literally has been being domestically assaulted by her boyfriend this whole time. So this TikTok couple, they've been posting as a couple this whole time. And she's been posting them this whole time like this guy is like the perfect guy, this and that. She comes out, bruises on her eye as big as oranges, telling us that it turns out that she's been being assaulted this whole time. Let me bring up the comments section, because I didn't even bring up the comments section yet. Because there's this intro video that I want us to watch. And so let me bring up the comment section. I'm going to post it in the community section while we watch this intro video and go ahead and get started, y'all.
Yeah, I do.
You do? And what's your major?
Psychology.
Psychology?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be making no fucking money, goddamn.
I mean, like, I'm gonna go to school after, so
you go to school after, you're just gonna put yourself in even more debt.
Not necessarily. Like, I think it'll work out for me.
I don't know. What are you gonna do? Like, study the effects of, of, like, what eating fries does at McDonald's?
What?
Oh, so I'm saying you're gonna be like working at McDonald's.
Why?
I don't know, just like a psych major. You should be a nurse though. Nurses are pretty fucking hot. Like I'm not gonna lie, you're pretty hot, so I think you'd fit in with them.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but stay away from men. Thank you.
I might be a lot of things. But at least I ain't nobody baby mama. For real. At least I ain't nobody baby mama.
Okay, y'all. So that's another intro. That's a second version of an intro. So I wanted to just play that for y'all, especially the last part. Every time I see that video, I might be a lot of things, but at least I ain't no baby mama. Girl, it just makes me laugh every single time, y'all. So let's dive into what we have for today. Oh, that's what I was going to get, my charger, because I was thinking we might need the charger, but if we need it, I'll just go get it later if we end up needing it. My phone was able to charge a little bit, so hopefully it will be fine. I think let's go ahead and start with the whole Princella thing. So I'm going to reverse the order of this and the Mean Girls issue. So here's the thing, y'all. If you haven't caught up on the lives where I talk about fair villain, and I talk about like the mean girls ganging up on her and all of this other crazy stuff that's been happening primarily on TikTok, make sure to get caught up on all that tea after this live. But if you are caught up on it, then you're good to go. Okay, so it's just a continuation of this tea, right? Because the thing is, since they all attacked her, they attacked FV. I'm going to call her FV, Fairvillain. Since they all attacked her, she's been posting more and more about these individuals. And the more she finds out about these individuals, the more she outs these individuals. So I'm just kind of giving like a background synopsis here. The more she outs these individuals and the more personal information about these people she divulges to the public that we might have not heard about. what do I think about that? I think that's fine. I think that's to be expected. I think it's fine because they attacked her first. So because they attacked her first, they've kind of opened up the door. It's kind of like Pandora's box. They've opened up the door to her being able to respond in whichever way she feels like she needs to respond in order to continue to defend herself. And I don't know that I don't know if this beef is gonna end anytime soon, but from what she was saying, apparently they're still attacking her. Apparently they're still sending people after her. So apparently the whole situation, the whole mess is still going on. Hi, Guilty Angel. Thanks for joining. Oh, thank you. Guilty Angel says you're my favorite YouTuber. Thank you, Guilty Angel. Why the edit stills content? Y'all, girl, why the edit? Y'all, I didn't realize how irritated I could get from like listening to her stuff until I did my the first live, where I was like, she's not saying anything that makes sense, because none of the stuff that she was saying was actually addressing any allegations. And I was kind of very confused about the whole situation. So I don't really know what goes on in that group. I know that it's a group. I know that like they are called the Mean Girls group. I took a screenshot of one of the comments calling them the Mean Girls group, because I'm going to post that in the community section, because then they come around acting confused as to why people call them the Mean Girls group. Because that's the behavior you're exhibiting, right? Or you exhibited anyway. So I took a screenshot. I'm going to probably post it in the community section at some point. But yeah, when it comes to her, definitely, I've seen it, Guilty Angel. I've seen it. So let's go ahead and start with like the videos, catch up on this tea, because here's another thing. And I say this all the time. I left a video because when I first kind of started posting more about this content, y'all, I came across Princella's content as well. And at first I was like, oh, this is good. This is good stuff. This is good information. I was like, oh, yeah. Like I was supporting until 3 to 4 weeks in. It didn't take me very long. It took me like 3 to 4 weeks, literally. It took me like 3 to 4 weeks before realizing, wait a second, this is a cult. And I'm confident in saying this is a cult. Why? Because I made a live. I made 2 lives. As soon as I found out that what she has going on over there is a cult, okay, I made a live. Y'all, I jumped on live. Even though I didn't have as much following. Like the following has grown a little bit since then. And our little group continues to grow. So thank y'all so much. Love y'all so much. I still made a live. I jumped on live, y'all. And I'm so happy I did. Oh, was it a live or a podcast? I think it was a live. I jumped on live, y'all. I was like, you guys. You won't believe what I just found out. Okay. And I made 2 lives about it. And it was because the topic that really did it for me, and it took me like 3 to 4 weeks. It did not take me long. So I stress that because I'm not really understanding. Like there's a lot of women that follow that person, and it seems like it takes them years before finally coming to their right senses, I guess. But I literally was like, y'all, and I put out a video warning. Okay. I didn't even have a lot of views on that or whatever. I put out a video warning. I was like, maybe I can save 1 or 2 girls from going down this weird looking, cultish looking path. So I put a video out. It was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's like a long time ago, but you can scroll down and look for that video, girl. I surely did. And the topic that did it, she was talking about, there was a whole situation that she was talking about when it comes to Black people, BLK, African-American people. Okay. So y'all know, like I'm primarily African. Okay. But the content I watch, everything I consume is pretty diversified in nature. Okay. So when she started talking about there was this African-American lady that she was talking about. I can't remember what her name is, but there was an African-American lady that she was talking about. And in her content, in her live, she was blaming this African-American lady. I think this lady ended up getting hurt or shot. I think she ended up getting unalived actually, because she got stopped due to like some type of like traffic, whatever. And the cop stopped her for a traffic violation, supposedly. Okay. The cop stopped her for a traffic violation. Okay. And she ends up giving the cop an attitude. She's pissed about being stopped by this cop. Hi, Georgia. Sandra Bland. Is that her name? Thank you, girl. Sandra Bland. Okay. All right, y'all. Because I'm trying to like tell this story because the live is there. I'm just so happy. That's why I always make sure, y'all, to document the most important stuff. Because on big ticket items, a lot of times I probably won't move that much. On certain things, yeah, maybe I'll change my mind here and there. But on big ticket items, it's tough to get me to like be like, oh yeah, that's different, right? Hi, CK. Thanks for joining. Hi, Unknown. Thanks for joining. Sandra Bland. Okay, that's her name, right? Sandra Bland. Her name's Sandra Bland, okay? And if you scroll down far enough, y'all, because I always say, look, it's on there. I made a live about it, period, okay? I made a live about it. You can't tell me anything, okay? So her name was Sandra Bland, or sorry, Sandra. Okay, Sandra Bland, not Sonia Bland. Sandra Bland. Thank you, Georgia. Hi, Unknown. Hi, CK. So she got stopped by, and y'all correct me if I get something way off, you know, like, so that way I can correct it during the live, because you know the internet is like crazy, okay? But from what I recall, she got stopped because of supposedly a traffic violation. Okay, supposedly it was a traffic violation, right? So she got stopped by a YT cop. Okay, she got stopped by a YT cop for a supposed traffic violation. Okay. The YT cop walks up to her car and starts flexing on her. It was a male cop. Okay, y'all. So this cop was a male. Okay. And he starts kind of harassing her because she's smoking. I'm just remembering from what I can recall. She was like, I guess, smoking in her car, right? And this cop told her to put away whatever it is that she was smoking. And I think she had an attitude about it or didn't want to put it away or something like that. She might have said something with an attitude to this guy or whatever. So this guy, this male cop, then told her to get out of the car. Okay, first of all, I'm starting to think, I'm just not understanding. You stopped someone for a traffic ticket. Why don't you just give her the ticket and move on? You know, it's like, I just can't like, oh, y'all. Anyways, so tells her to get out of the car, forces her to get out of the car. She ends up getting out of the car. At this point, like, she's pissed, I guess, has a complete attitude. She's totally not cooperating with the cop, obviously, because it's like, what are we doing here? She probably already didn't like cops. She probably already didn't trust them, or whatever the case may be. But this guy tells her to get out of the car, which, from the details that I remember, I found that completely unnecessary. I was like, I don't understand why he's asking her to get out of the car. If you stopped her for a ticket, she's smoking in her car. Even that I don't understand. Like, she's in her car. Why are you asking her to put her whatever she's smoking away? You know, and I don't even smoke. I just feel like it's illogical. You know, I'm like, it doesn't make sense, except if we're dealing with a male species. Okay, who doesn't actually care about right or wrong, but all they care about is their little ego. All right. So he does all that. She gets out of the car. He ends up long story short, things escalate so much. He wants to flex her power. He wants to flex his power on her so badly because he keeps asking her to do things that, in my opinion, are unnecessary. Okay. He keeps asking her to get out of the car, keeps asking her to do this for a traffic ticket. Okay. I'm just thinking, because he told her, he said something about a traffic or you're speeding or whatever. And so all of these things just kind of escalated, in my opinion, unnecessarily. And I feel like if you are in a position of power as a cop, okay, you are supposed to be able to deal with these things with less emotion and more logic and reason, right? Anyways, it escalated to the point where he takes her to jail, and I think she ends up getting unalived in the jail, if I recall correctly. Now, Princella starts blaming the victim. She starts blaming this girl, right? This African-American girl. She starts blaming this girl for being unalived while she's in jail. And that was it for me. Because y'all know, I'm very kind of like, bye. Okay, I'm not sticking around. I will not stick around. Okay, I will not stick around. Okay, she starts blaming this victim, this girl, for her fate. Right? She starts blaming this girl for being unalived in the jail because she says she was saying like, well, she should have just listened to the cop, this and that. And I'm like, she should have just listened to the cop does not go on the same level as let me lose my life today in a jail cell where I'm supposed to be safe because you're in the custody of like cops or whatever the case may be, right? So that was like it for me. I was like, I can't do it because it's illogical. I'm not even like, I'm looking at it even from an objective standpoint, and I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. I was pretty pissed about it. And so I left like a comment on her thing, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you blame the victim for being unalived in a cell that she should have never even been in the first place? It is the cop's responsibility to make sure that he knows how to manage emotions. Okay, just because we're telling women, look, the males don't know how to do it, they're degenerates, they're devolved, so you'll have to do it for yourself, does not absolve the male from the responsibility that it is his responsibility because he is the one in that role. I don't understand what you're talking about. Okay, like, why are you blaming this lady? It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, I was like, maybe it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know what it was, because I would have expected her, because she's actually African American. So I would have expected her to know better, or to at least defend her own. I don't know. I would just have expected more from her, because I'm like, you're actually fully African American and you still are speaking this way. That doesn't make any sense to me. That was the end of it. That's when I left, because I posted the comment and she literally, they started blocking my comments, y'all. They started blocking my comments because I was so pissed. I was like, you know how I get when I'm like in the comments section. I'm like, I wasn't rude or cursing or anything, but I'm in comment section. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like writing this thing as far as like, why would you tell these, why are you speaking about these things and saying these things? It doesn't make any sense, right? And that was it. Like, once they started blocking my voice, blocking the comment section, and she was like defending this, in my opinion, that cop is, in my opinion, a murderer, because it's like, how did this girl end up in that jail cell? I'm not understanding. Okay, because that's, even if she's annoying, even if she's smoking, even if she's doing this, it's literally your job. If you can't do it, then why are you in that role? And this is a big problem that we have with cops, because a lot of them are males, and we shouldn't have any cops that are males, because the males can't manage their emotions. Okay, and it's their responsibility to do so, because they are the ones in the position of power. Okay, so even if she's annoying, even if she's doing this, and why is she in jail for no reason? You stopped her for a traffic ticket, and just because she wasn't like doing what you wanted her to do, you take her to jail? Like, there's people stealing things. Your male counterparts are raping women all over the place, and you're harassing some lady that doesn't like cops, obviously, and you stopped her for a ticket. So what is she supposed to be happy about that? You know, to me, it didn't make any sense blaming the victim. It didn't make any sense. And so I don't wait. I was like, bye. That's a cult. That's a cult. When you can't like speak, when it was just super cultish. The way she would talk to the women, I started to see was like super weird. At that point in time, I don't think she had totally switched to dressing like a male. I think she was like still like, you know, not all the way dressing like a male. And now she's all the way like dressing like a male, behaving like a male, everything. Okay. But at that point, it was like 2 years ago or something like that. It's been a while. She was not fully dressing like a male yet. Okay. But that's all it took for me, because I was like, I would feel like you would be the one to really stand up for people that you probably should connect with more and understand more. And you're not. Instead, people like me are the ones doing it. You see other people in the comments doing it. You see why even YT women were in the comments standing up for African American women, and you are not doing anything. You're just sitting there blaming the victim. And I was like, no, like that doesn't make any sense, right? So bye, I'm gone, right? So that was my experience with Princella. Like, yes, so in my opinion, it is a cult. Now she also dated this girl, what's her name? B. Taylor. Her name is coming up because she commented on these videos, y'all. Okay, she commented on this. Oh, I posted it in the community section. Duh. I posted it in the community section. She commented on these videos because B. Taylor, was straight, and all of a sudden now she's not straight, I guess. And so she ended up dating this Princella chick or whatever. And so that became a whole thing, a whole situation. But I'll be honest, y'all. I think B. Taylor is also not, I wouldn't mess with that either, because I saw that like when she was dating Princella, she would talk smack about other women, like other content creators. She actually talked smack about me because I think they got so irritated by me that they were like subliminally mentioning me in their like comments that I had left, like addressing some of the things that I had left, and maybe other people had said something similar. I don't know, right? So she literally did not hesitate in attacking women left, right, center. Like whatever Princella would say, she would back it up, even if it defied all moral. Like I just feel like that I don't see that she has any moral compass, and I don't see that she has any like backbone or spine, because the behavior that I experienced or I saw, it's like as soon as Princella would start attacking a woman, she would jump right in and continue the attack. Okay. And then, you know, these people, it always comes back around, you know, then they have the whole fallout, the whole breaking up thing. It was a mess. I was in the comments with my main channel. I said, well, what do we have here? Because they treated me like garbage, y'all. And I didn't say anything. I just left and moved on. Okay. So now it's coming back up because of FV. So I want to like give that background of my experience with it, because I just moved on. Whenever I move on, I'm just like, bye. And I didn't want, especially just now kind of getting a feel for the internet, I didn't want my space to kind of be like just about that, you know, because people might find that first and be like, oh, that's the only thing it's about. So I was just like, nah, I'm just going to move on and talk about other things, and I'm out of there, right? From what I've been hearing, it's been getting worse, y'all. So let me see some of these comments while I pull up FV's, because now we have Princella being accused of SA. She's being accused of SA. Okay. And the lady has receipts. They're accusing her of SA. She has receipts. I looked into it before deciding whether or not I wanted to make I wanted to cover it in the live, and she does. She has receipts. She literally filed a police report. Okay. Like not even 2 weeks after the alleged assault, SA assault, she literally filed a police report. She brought out like text messages. My jaw was on the ground. I was like, because I feel like if it was just that one video, I might have briefly mentioned it, or maybe not even mentioned it, because I wouldn't be too sure as to, you know, because SA allegations, those are some intense allegations. But then when I looked into it and I saw, okay, this lady has like all these receipts out here, we should probably mention that, especially because there's a ton, I can't believe it, but there's a ton of women that follow Princella. And so that also tells you the mindset of women. Like women just don't, I don't know, a lot of them just don't care or whatever. You know what I mean? Like for me, I couldn't do it. But a lot of women are very desperate for validation. They're very desperate to feel accepted. They're just desperate. Like they're desperate, no moral compass, no ethics, no nothing, you know? And so they still follow this lady despite knowing that there's SA allegations against her. They might have not known that SA one, but I feel like most of her followers know that Princella is 39 years old, currently dating a 23-year-old girl. Okay. She is 39 years old, almost 40 years old, and she's currently dating a little girl, dang near a baby, who is 23 years old. Okay, the predatory behavior that I come on this channel and try to like warn y'all about, that's what she's literally exhibiting. Okay, and she's, you know, now she might as well be a male, you know, dressed up as a male, like speaks like a male. I never really understood because she would like curse her she curses her audience out, and I guess they like it. I think her audience likes getting cursed out because they stick around. They don't care, you know. That's the level of desperation. You know, but so now this has all come out. Fair Villain has made videos about this. I guess Fair Villain didn't know. I knew that she was kind of a predator because I knew she was dating a 23-year-old. Okay, I did not know she had SA allegations. That I did not know. Okay. So the whole thing is insane. Yeah, yup. That's what it looks like to me, unknown. And CK says Princella has exhibited hatred towards women on several occasions due to serious mommy issue. Yeah, I've seen that too. And she kind of seems like a flip-flopper too. Like sometimes it seems like she'll try to tone it down if she feels like she's losing followers. And then once she feels like that's been remedied, then she just like goes back to being her regular self. And I was like, girl, this is someone that has comorbid, multiple, you know, mental health things that could be explored. So, you know, that's my experience. I'm glad that FV made this because it gives me a chance to speak more on it. Because I hadn't really spoken about it at all because I didn't want my channel to be just about that. You know, you start talking about one thing and that's what, you know, it's going to be hard to rebrand from that. And I was like, no, I don't want my channel to be just about that. So let me pull up the first video and let's go ahead and get started with the videos. But yeah, that was the thing. That was like the reason why I was like, no, it's not for me. Like, I can't do it. Yeah, the human male is her spirit animal. Yeah, she's a male. She's a male, I guess. You know, it's insane to me. I'm like, I don't really understand. I don't understand because a lot of people sit there watching that and it's so toxic and you get yourself trapped in a toxic cycle because now what you've done is this is your content. Okay. So if you don't talk this way, if you don't say these things, what are you going to do? What is your content going to be? So you end up trapped in that. Okay. And there's nothing you can do outside of that or about that. But I don't even think that she cares because to be dating a 23-year-old girl and you're almost 40, like, what are we, and you have a kid on top of everything else, to me, it's kind of gross. It's kind of disgusting. But, you know, it's not like I think it's gross, but I don't really feel bad for like the 23-year-old because I kind of feel like it's old enough to know maybe this person's taken advantage of me. Maybe I don't want to do this, but the frontal lobe is not fully developed at 23. Okay. So 25, 26, that would have been a lot better. But the frontal lobe is not even fully developed for women at 23. Okay, so I don't really know, but I just think that if it were just that one thing, then maybe we could have a conversation that's more fluid. But it's not just that one thing. It's like a string of like all of these concerning behaviors and like just the way she just operates in total that I was like, you know, but that's where I learned like, no, it reinforced the independent part for me because you'll be excited about and you'll get in there and you'll be like, what is this? Like, this is literally a cult. Like, literally have to get out of here. Like, you won't even know until like a week or 2 weeks later. Like, you'll be so excited. Like, you'll be like, oh my God, yes. And then 2 weeks later, a new live comes out and you're like, wait. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, you know, I can't do this. This internet thing is nuts. Okay. So let's take a look at like the first video here and go from there. That's not the one that I want us to watch. And these aren't in order.
3 p.m.
Okay.
Breaking news, other feminists exposed for being a predator. This is Princella. She is currently dating someone that is 23 to 24 years old while she is 39 to 40 years old. A topic that we often talk about in the Decenter Men conversation about how men are predators. They date young women before their frontal lobe is fully developed.
And depend on women being dumb, right? Which is why they want young chicks who are impressionable, like old boy said on that shit.
To mention the fact that this creator posting this video about essay allegations. Now, is everyone lying or are the dots all connecting? Right. Because if the men are the perverts for dating young women before their frontal lobe develops, is that not the same for the women that also date young women before their frontal lobe develops? I think so. This girl, Jasmine, is 23. From my perspective, because I did work in the club, the way that I see it is that Princella is actually her boyfriend pimp. Yeah, because of my experience in the club, I can see a pimp when I see a pimp. All right. Not to mention the entire story around B, Taylor, and Princella is quite alarming. It sounds like Princella's always been a narcissist, which actually adds up to her persona that she puts on online. Princella got dishonorably discharged from the military, so she never actually even finished her contract. Not only that, but she got finessed by an old man that was.
Did y'all catch that? I didn't know. Like, this stuff had me drop my jaw on the ground. So she never actually even finished her contract in the military because she got discharged. Did she say honorably or not honorably discharged? I'm not sure. But she never finished. I know she doesn't have any degrees. Why does that matter? Because typically that's who cares, right? But the reason that matters, y'all, is because that's one of the things that she brags about. She's like, I'm so learned. I'm so smart. I have all these books and not a single degree in sight. Okay. So I'm just kind of like, is this a manipulation tactic? As she's talking about this, I'm like, really? Because we wouldn't know, because we're talking about different stuff over here in our space. So all this stuff that's coming out is like, this, no, CK, for real? Yo, I don't know what to say. So dishonorably discharged. I'm going to rewind it just so we can make sure. A dishonorable discharge? My jaw, y'all. This isn't even we're just getting started, because there was so much. Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, we're going to rewind it to make sure. But I swear she said dishonorable discharge. She just kept putting stuff out. And I was like, anyways, let's go ahead and keep going here.
So she never actually even finished her contract. It's quite alarming. It sounds like Princella's always been a narcissist, which actually adds up to her persona that she puts on online. Princella got dishonorably discharged from the military, so she never actually even finished her contract. Not only that.
Yup, dishonorably discharged, girl. That's what she's saying. That's what she's saying. Go back. That's apparently dishonorably discharged. A child.
She got finessed by an old man that was close to 60 years old that got her pregnant within 2 months of knowing her. Yeah, before they were married. So in reality, the only reason she makes this content is because she got tricked. All right.
Okay, y'all, help me make this make sense. She got pregnant within 2 months of knowing a 60-year-old male. Isn't that what? I'm not sure, but like, I kind of thought like her content was like something related to not doing that. I like women. Doesn't she tell women to keep their legs closed all the time? Isn't that like, like, I swear, doesn't she go around saying like women just don't know how to keep their legs closed? They just can't control their sexual desires. They're not able to control themselves. They just can't keep their legs closed. Isn't that like her MO? Isn't that what she goes around saying? And now we hear that she got pregnant within 2 months of meeting a degenerate 60-year-old male. Like, make it make sense. Okay, no offense, Princella, like I call all males degenerate. Okay, my followers know that that's just what I call the male species. Okay, I'm sorry. It slipped out. But yeah, but she goes around saying like women can't close their legs. So I just feel like it's kind of ironic that you've been saying this, and yet here we are finding out that allegedly you got pregnant 2 months into knowing some 60-year-old male. Weird.
She got hurt, she got bamboozled, and now she's gonna hurt and bamboozle everyone else in her fucking path, including women, right? I believe in consistency, and I believe in holding everyone accountable, even the perverted men that date young women, and also the perverted women who date young women. It's all the same to me. And now, judging by the live that I actually did by her, I see that Princella actually felt really threatened that I was at my age and I never got finessed to the extent that she did. It appears that Princella has always been a pick-me and is now a victim in her own eyes. 39 years old at her big age, still pulling all the victim cards on live is quite
y'all. Let's move on to the next one. 39 years old, bruh, that's crazy. But I mean, I honestly, the issue really more, I feel like, is just this issue of like, that's a lot of inconsistencies, not honorably discharged. You're dating a 23-year-old, like all of these blow-ups have happened in the public eye with you, and you dating this other girl, and you dating this other girl, and you dating this other girl. And now, on top of everything else, we're finding out that you've been accused of SA. It's just, I feel like it's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in, right? All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going, girl.
embarrassing. Princella is a 39-year-old dating a 23-year-old, right? She's a fucking predator, just like the men that I talk about who are predators, just like she has talked about being a predator. That's why I'm making these videos, because today is when I found out all of this information. People are saying, why didn't you do this research before you were going to debate her? I didn't know I was going to debate her. She came in my DMs acting like she was a girly pop, like a friend. She was like, hey, girly, no, I totally understand.
So she came to FV's flawed villain, because I always say fair villain, girl, flawed villain. She came to FV's DMs pretending and acting like she's like a girly girl and like, hey girl, this and that. Girl, that's why I always say you got to look into, I learned that early on, you know, like, because like I always say, you get in there, you think it's one thing and it's not. It's really, it might not be. It might not be. Okay. So apparently she got in there like, and she fell for it. FV fell for it, I guess, girl. And she got on the live, and that's where all of this is coming from, I think, because I think FV is super kind of like still upset about how that whole live went. And also the fact that they attacked her, and now she's having to like, you know, girl, it's insane.
Like, we could just chat about decentering men, life, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, she was just trying to divide and conquer using that live. And not only is she a fake-ass bitch, she's also a predator. During that live, she said, you're just young, you're inexperienced. But she is dating a 23-year-old, housing her, living together. I was under the impression that she had some women in her house that was like her same age, right? She mentions that they live together. It's just asexual. Like, it's really not that serious. Y'all don't understand what partnership is. That's what
she says. It's asexual. So allegedly, Princella said that, oh, it's asexual. I think I've heard her say something like that before. Something along the lines of, oh, I'm not into people sexually. I'm actually asexual. And then another thing that bothered me was she said that, and then next minute she was doing weird things on the live. Like, she had a robe on and she would like do weird stuff. That the whole thing was strange. I think I sat through 2 lives, 2 or 3 of them, before actually being like, bye, because she doesn't really do that many. And it only took me like 3 or 4 weeks. And I was like, that's not what I thought I was gonna be looking at. So I think it's just ironic and interesting, because it's like, how can you be asexual, but at the same time, like, you're dating a 23-year-old? And we're going to see more with the SA allegation, because in the SA allegation, first of all, how do you claim to be asexual and you have SA allegations against you? SA for SA. Okay. Anyway.
He talked about on one of her lives. So I just imagine someone her age, level-headed with her, watching her kid with her. She has a young adult in her fucking house. I, at my age, wouldn't be friends with even 23-year-olds, okay? Why would I have a 23-year-old living with me? I talk about these same things about men because it's fucking weird. It doesn't.
I honestly think she's using the 23-year-old because I've heard her say before, or I believe I've heard her say before, that she never really wanted kids. And so I'm willing to bet that 23-year-old is helping out a lot when it comes to the kid that she has or whatever. But I've heard some seriously disturbing allegations, yeah.
Matter if it's over the legal age of 18, it's fucking weird. But that's why I'm talking about this, because this is newfound knowledge for me. If we're gonna hold men up to these standards of being fucking perverts, but she also does talk about that men like to go after women that are young and naive. Why is she acting like the men? Because it's one thing for her to make her comments on live, and I get it, people are like she's being misogynist, but it's another thing to be a fucking predator. It also just shows how fucking codependent she is. Because let me guess, her talking point about this situation is going to be similar to what the men say, right? She's just so mature for her age. We just get along better. To me, that's fucking weird. Because if she's going to call me young, naive, no experience, even though I didn't get tricked by some old man and got pregnant within 2 months, clearly I'm more intelligent than her. But if I'm young...
I mean, I agree with that. I agree, because if you go around saying that you're smarter than everybody else, yet you did get trapped with a kid, okay, by a 60-year-old male, then in fact, the facts show or would say that you are not smarter than everybody else. You're probably on the not smarter scale if that's the way you're behaving. Okay, so if that is true, that makes sense to me.
I'm naive. What the fuck does she think about that girl that's 23 years fucking old? Which, by the way, I think she met her through her like little program shit, which I think is fucking weird.
Yo.
This court-
That's a big deal. That's a big deal, because I've heard several ladies say that like they met Princella and had something with her through her little programs that she sells. Like I think she sells like little events or programs or something. Like it's like classes or whatever, where like they all get together and she teaches them something, something like that. And apparently that's where she recruits from for young girls. The words coming out of my mouth are even astonishing me. I can't believe it. I didn't know any of this. I left for much simpler reasons. Okay. The reasons I left and just was like, no, thanks, were much simpler. Okay. You're accusing victims. That makes no sense to me. You're being weird with the whole like weird stuff and you're like, goodbye. Okay. This is on another level. I can't even believe the words that are coming out of my own mouth. Okay. Because I'm just like, what? Like, what's happening again? What did you say? She what? Y'all, insane. Hi, Kelly in Memphis. Thanks for joining. She said, Kelly in Memphis says, I'm 22 minutes behind. Oops. That's okay. It'll be posted for a little bit after the live. I'm not sure yet if I might leave this one out. I'm not sure yet, but you'll be able to catch it after the live because I usually post it at least for a little bit after the live. Okay. Hi, Name Unknown. How are ya? Thanks for joining. So Name Unknown says she used to do relationship content right before she did her current content. No. She used to do relationship like who needs Netflix? Okay, when I tell y'all, like all you have to do is get in the comments section. Like people leave comments, they make me so happy. That's why I don't like seeing males in the comments because they always ruin your good time. Like you'll be out there sitting there reading the comments and the girlies be like, girl, nah. And you're like, no, and then you see a dusty male in there. Yeah, I'm just like, can you go away, please? But anyway, she used to make relationships. So how do we go from relationship content to what she is now? Like, you know what? I think one of the things that I will say is that she's very strong when it comes to performance. Like when it comes to like actually delivering the message, okay? She's a good art like performer, right? Entertaining, right? She's an entertaining performer. Maybe that's why a lot of these women are still following her, girl. I don't know what the thing is, because these are a lot of fascinations, right? But doing relationship content, and how do you go from relationship content? I wonder if she explained the transition. I mean, because how do you transition from relationships to telling women that they're not worth anything? You don't even know how to close your legs. You're telling women they don't even know how to close their legs, and you have a whole child. Like, you're the last person that has any right to say such a thing. You have no right to say such a thing. You are the last person. If anyone's saying such crazy things like atrocities, it shouldn't be you, because you have a whole child, right? And the thing is, I think it might be delivery, because saying, you know, I don't know if women can overcome their, you know, need, what seems to be their consistent need for being sexually engaging with males. I don't see that they're able to overcome that. I don't know if they're able to overcome that. I feel like, okay, that's a lot better, but just spitting it out like to women's faces, like you're basura, you're nothing, you're this, because you don't know how to close your legs, is like, I don't see how you can listen to that and just inhale all of that content for that long, right? I don't know. Maybe she explained the discrepancy. That's crazy to me.
Thing where you are teaching women, right? Queen maker. You're just looking for young, naive women to date. You know who else does shit like that? Cult leaders. Marilyn Manson might come to mind. This is predatory.
Y'all, I've been called her a cult leader. I'm telling you, the video is there. You scroll all the way down. It's like 2 years down, though, I think. So, but it's there. It surely is there, okay? Because I left it there just in case. And I think I even got 1 or 2 comments. I might have been able to save 1 or 2 ladies, because I think I even got 1 or 2 comments from ladies saying, thank you for posting this. Thank you for saying something about this, even though it didn't have a lot of views. I think I got like at least 1 or 2 comments. So I was like, I'm definitely going to leave this there, just because a lot of women are very impressionable. They really want to, you know, they're really looking for like a way out of like the male species, right? Like dealing with the male species. And so they might miss a lot of these other signs if they're maybe at the beginning of their journey or something like that, right? Or if they're really young, like 23 or a 23-year-old. You can almost get a 23-year-old to do anything, especially a 23-year-old girl. You know, so unless the ones that are like, I wouldn't, because it's like, it just takes time for the frontal lobe to develop when it comes to ladies. Yeah. Oh, it wasn't on her current channel. Okay, so she was doing relationship content. So name unknown. I think what name unknown is saying that Princella was doing relationship content, but not on her main channel, on a different channel. And she deleted that content and then started like new content, new channel. And this is what she's now talking about. Okay. I still think that you should probably explain that. You know, I think there's a lot of discrepancy. I heard from the grapevine that she was actually supporting males. She was like, actually, I think I heard it from her, that she was supporting males. She would go literally rally physically, defending the male species, right? And now she doesn't because of whatever. So I guess she's had a lot of like switch ups. I don't know, girl. That's crazy.
Behavior. Using her platform to find young and naive women? Absolutely. I'm going to be saying something. I unfollowed her right after that live, and I said, thanks. I hope that y'all got what you wanted from that live. Something along the
Bro, I would be so, like, I would be really pissed if someone did that to me, where you came up to me acting like you wanted us to be cool. You wanted to be like, you just wanted like a regular interview and stuff like that, or live. And the whole time you were just planning to try to make yourself look smart and above me in the live. I might have said something I would have probably said something during the live. I would have probably said, I don't know, but the conversation is making me feel uncomfortable because I kind of thought that this was going to be more of a free space. I would have said something like that because it just doesn't make sense to like bring someone. I might have left. Girl, you know, she's a runner. She's a track star. Girl, I'll be, bye. Okay. God, I might have left, girl. I mean, because I would have been like, I don't know, but that question, I haven't really had time to process through it. And that's not really what I thought we were going to be talking about today. So maybe we can do a second live and address those, but I don't know what to say to you when it comes to these questions that you're asking that we never talked about, right? And if that doesn't work and she continues, I'd be like, yeah, well, I have a video to make, so you know, it was nice speaking to y'all, goodbye. She's a runner, she's a trackster, she's gone. All right, yeah, she did relationship content, then BLM content, then anti-male content. Yeah, see, I knew it. BLM content, because I remember hearing something about that. I think it was from her, I'm not too sure, that she was actually pro-male and then all of a sudden not pro-male. I don't know, girl, it's crazy. So let's dive into the next live because it's totally insane, it's totally wild. And I want us to be able to get through all the content because we also have to talk about the main course, and the main course is, you know, femicide, race, safety tips, and we're going to use the rich TikToker couple as an example because she came out like a day ago, black eye from this male putting hands on her. She has like a black eye and everything, and she's like now deciding to tell us the truth about the fact that this male has been putting hands on her and stuff. And so we got to cover this femicide thing, and we really, really have to cover like safety tips, even though all the tips that I give for the most part are safety tips, but we're going to put it more in this context, right, as well, especially for any youngins that might come across, you know, this particular you know, information or live, right? So let's see, like, I think we only have like 2 more to look at here. So let's see, there's one, I think it's this one, y'all. Oh my God, this is just insane. It's so much. And when I'm listening to these things, when I tell y'all the hypertension that I get, okay, the hypertension I get, because when it comes, it's like watching a soap opera to me. Okay, like it's like watching a soap opera. I get so like, oh my God, like who, like I was saying, who needs Netflix? This is insane. This is totally wild. You know, I got to talk about this. All right, let me see. This is like the same link. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so we covered all of that. Let's go ahead and cover the essay allegations from this particular individual that has essay allegations against Princella. I don't know what the latest update is on her essay allegation, but she did file a police report. Yes, she did. I did confirm that she has receipts for that. So let's go ahead and listen to this essay allegation here. Phew, child, crazy.
On April 24th, 2024, at about 11:43 p.m., I was essayed by this lady. This lady decided to not put her hands on me once, but twice. It can stop me from saying my truth or speaking my truth about this situation. We got ready to go celebrate someone's birthday, and when we were going inside of this location, this young lady was really acting like the male that you would never date, the male that she warns you about. I'm not understanding why she's giving off the vibe of a guy, male. She's giving off male vibes. I'm not really sure why that's happening. But I said it several times. I was like, why are you acting like the dude I would never date? Like, you act like the guy I would never date. And I was in disbelief that she was acting this way, but because of how she talks about. Anyway, we were leaving out of the bathroom at the casino. On our way out, she said, do you want some more aggression? Let me give you some context on the aggression, the initial aggression. So
Can y'all hear that? So apparently she said they were leaving out of a casino and she said something about, do you want some more aggression? Girl, what does that even mean? Let's find out.
basically, we were at this bar where you can do axe throwing. She was looking sad the entire day. I don't know why, but me and the girl that she's with now, we were dancing, together like girls having fun dancing. There was a moment when I had to pull her to the side to let her know that this is a healing retreat and not a hooking up type of retreat. This retreat was for us to refresh ourselves.
It was supposed to be a healing retreat. So I guess she was putting together an event for her and her followers that was supposed to be a healing retreat. Am I getting that right?
And I couldn't understand why she couldn't understand that. She was sad or whatever the case. And there was a moment where we were throwing axes and it was my turn to go. And when I got done throwing the axe, she came up behind me and grabbed my hair. And she was like, this what you want? This what you want? And I was like, excuse me? Like, what? And the girl, that birthday we were celebrating, she was like, what was that all about? And I was like, I don't know, because I ain't do nothing to warrant any of that. And she had said something, and I was like, just as aggressive as I thought it would be. Like, just giving off the male vibes that you just want to stay away from. Why would you do that? Again, the energy there was really dark. Going inside, and we were in there. Once that happened, she left out and went to the car. So then we left and went back to our room. We came back to the casino because I was going to gamble by myself, but she wanted to tag along. And so, I brushed off the first little incident that she did and just kept it pushing. Back to the casino, we talked for like about 30 minutes or so. But so when she came out the bathroom and we got outside and she said, do you want some more aggression? I was like, no. I had practiced my note for all of y'all. So now we're walking to the trunk of the car. And this is when she tells me, oh, I forgot something in the trunk. And I'm like, there's nothing in the trunk. Like, what could you have forgotten in the trunk? Because there's nothing in there. So I open the trunk and she pushes me forward. And then she proceeds to violate me. And in that moment, I was like, are you really doing this right now? Like, you're really doing the stuff that you told us to watch out for. You're doing everything that we're supposed to be looking out for and really not understanding why this is happening in the moment. In that moment,
So y'all, I think that beginning part was this story. Let me show y'all the receipts and then we're gonna move along because I want us to cover all the content. So we're gonna take a look at just the receipts video. Is this it? Because she has receipts, girl. She surely does. Let me see.
I guess we can say this is part 2. I just want to be very clear that Princella the Queenmaker did essay me, as well as there are charges that are filed and there is an active warrant. All right, so I met Princella.
Y'all, I forgot to tell you, she has an active warrant on Princella. Y'all, she has an active warrant on this lady, on Princella the Queenmaker. Do you know what it takes to get a warrant? Now, granted, maybe it was easier for her this time around for whatever reasons, but typically it's quite hard to get a warrant against somebody. Like, you really have to have like proof. You really have to have documentation. You really have to have all these things. And that's something that you can publicly probably verify to some extent, whether it's the complaint or the whatever the case may be, because she filed charges and stuff. So she has a warrant. Can you? Oh, that was crazy to me.
I did a one-on-one with her first, and then I ended up joining her book club around like end of December, January.
She did a one-on-one and ended up joining the book club. So youngins, just listen to what I'm telling you and don't. Okay, you've been warned, lest you come across something that you might find traumatizing. Okay.
And then I met Jasmine in the book club. When I got into the book club, me and Jasmine decided to open up a 4X group because that's how we basically connected, was through 4X. And then I was invited to some other group. I never asked to be invited in there. They just invited me in there. And then I met Crystal. That's the girl birthday, whose birthday it was. So how the trip to Hot Springs came up is because we were building a 501c3, and we decided that we wanted to go ahead and see if we can get Princella on board to be a part of the 501c3 because she had the women in her community. We wanted to feel this.
Okay, y'all. So far, she took us back to the beginning. Okay, so the way she met these other ladies, because I think the one that Princella is dating right now is her name Jasmine, I think. So the way she met that lady, she met some other lady. It was through the group and these events that Princella was putting up. Okay. Fast forward, now they are, trying to start a business together and trying to involve Princella. So that's what she's telling us about.
Seats in our chairs of women who are like-minded like us. And my purpose of being, like I said yesterday, was strictly for business, strictly to build the 501c3 or build the community of women that we thought was real. So that's how I met all three of these ladies. Just want to show a little bit of character of Princella. She invited me. She texted me and she was like, are you available to go to Dallas? And I was like, sure. And she said she was going to the Real Life Street Stars and to do an interview or whatever the case is, domino effect. And so I was like, oh, thanks for inviting me. Yeah, sure. So I told her I had just got my puppy, and that she was like, great. And I had the vibe that she wanted me to watch Maya on this thing. So it was exactly what I expected. She wanted me to stay with Amaya. Nico was there. That's another story. I ain't even gonna get on that right now. So I didn't watch the interview. I was watching Amaya, and I was fine watching Amaya. Amaya's really cool, chill girl, and but she don't like dogs.
So Amaya is, I believe, Princella's kiddo, I guess.
But this is my first time getting acquainted with her and seeing who she is. She seemed cool. When I first met her, I was on the phone with Jasmine the whole time, on FaceTime. So like it was just a lot going on. It was a lot going on that day. And then me and her talked in a car. That's when I asked her like how Taylor was and if they were still together. She was like, yeah, we still together. This is April, by the way. She was like,
so there's also part of the allegation is that she cheated on B. Taylor, I guess, would be the insinuation if they're still together at this point. Let me see.
Hour to Hot Springs. So we decided to spend the night there since Crystal wouldn't get to Hot Springs until the next day. On that first day was crazy. When we all three got together, it was great. We went to this Asian restaurant, and it was actually a Japanese restaurant with sushi and stuff, and it was awesome sauce. However, when we got back, we started to play her manipulation game, and it's a game that helps women to learn how to manipulate. Now, it was at this moment I know I fucked up inviting this lady on this trip. because I saw her master manipulation skills. So I had to come back to the car because it was cold out there. So this is a card game, and it's basically you have to pull these cards and choose different things. The goal is to get everybody on your team. Is to get how many followers can you have? Sounds familiar? So basically, prior to us leaving and going to do the Japanese restaurant, me and Jasmine are sitting in the car, and I don't know what all you can say on TikTok, but we was passing trees, if you will. And so the Amaya comes out of the hotel room. Now,
y'all, this is crazy. This is insane. This part is insane.
We can see inside of the foyer and stuff, and this is the backside, and it ain't really like it's not gated. So the girl, the baby, comes out of the room, and we see her casually going up the stairs. We're like, where her mama at? And so me and Jasmine go get her and see what Princella's doing. I think she was in there laying down on the bed. I don't know what she was doing. So we ended up putting her back into the room, and then the girl came back out. So yeah, so Jasmine ended up being outside with Amaya, and then Princella gets in the car with me, and so now we're passing the trees. And so as we were talking, she said, you know, I like your friend. Like, she's really cool. I've seen her in book club several times. I was like, yeah, she's pretty intelligent for her age. She's 23. She's real cool. I said, that's why I'm doing business with her, because she's really, mature. Anyway, so she was like, yeah, man, I wonder if she'll let me suck the titties.
Y'all, sorry. You know, I didn't actually remember that part. I should have blipped it for you. Crazy.
I was like, what? I started laughing because I laugh when I'm in shock.
Me too.
I was like,
Me too.
I mean, this is,
and I'm very expressional too. Like, I'll express it.
That's why I'm doing business with her, because she's really mature. Anyway, so she was like, yeah, man, I wonder if she'll let me suck the titties. I was like, bro, what the hell? I was like, what? I started laughing because I laugh when I'm in shock. And I started laughing. I was like, duh. I mean, this is day one of us meeting, and the girl is already trying to jump on some yitties. And I was like, when she said that, like, I just seen our whole organization just crumbling down. Like, I just seen red, fire, tower on fire, somebody walking around with their head on fire. That's literally all I seen in my head was fire alarms. Just alarms. So we played a card game, and the specifics of the game is that there's a narrator, there's a person that comes up with the scenario, and then there are.
Hi, Patty Lynch. Hi, Patty Lynch. Thanks for joining. Yeah, exactly. Well, so Patty says, from the sounds of it, it sounds like she has, it sounds like she became what she hates and used it to find a perversion of love. Yeah, I think that's how she knows. I think a lot of her followers get it backwards, right? I think a lot of her followers say, they'll try to justify following someone that maybe might not be the best decision for the long term. It's the best way I can say, the nicest way. And I think what they end up using to justify that is they'll say, well, because I saw this in the comment section. This is what I was seeing in the comment section. How will she know what to teach us if she hasn't been through a lot of experiences? How will she know? That's how she knows what to teach us, is because she's been through those experiences. And so they have it backwards. She's teaching you what she is. She's not teaching you based off of her experiences, because what we're hearing about are the things that she's allegedly doing, right? Participating in. We're not hearing about like past experiences. This is from like December. of last year. This video that she posted is from like December of last year. It's been like 6 months or something. It's very, very recent. Okay. So what I think is actually happening is that she's teaching you based off of what she is. Okay. That's how she knows. Like, it's like, I don't know, maybe she identifies more with like being a male and wants to feels more at home there, wanting to be I don't know. I have no clue. But from the characteristics, her personality characteristics, I feel like that's what she's teaching them based off of, is what she is. Okay, manipulation tactics. How do I go about keeping these ladies, manipulated and paying for these classes or whatever the case may be? So she's teaching you based off of what she does, basically, right? And I think her followers get that reversed. Oh, she's teaching based off of previous experiences. No, because these are current. These allegations are current. The whole fallout, all of these things are current. Like she's currently doing these things. She's currently dating a 23-year-old. Okay, so sounds like cope to me, right? Yeah. So basically, exactly, Patty. She is what she did. I don't know if she became it. Maybe, yeah, I think that's true. I don't know that she was always full force what we have here, right? So she did just end up becoming exactly what it is that she's describing, but she describes it based off of the fact that that's what she is, probably. And yeah, so Patty says, what gets me is she's doing all of this in front of her daughter. Girl, it gets worse. I thought this was the part until she said something about titties or whatever. It was the wrong part because they're in the hotel room, something's happening, and the kid is laying right there, allegedly. Okay, so I thought that was the part we were listening to until I heard titties. I almost had a heart attack on my live because, like when I express myself, sometimes I'm like, yeah, super. Where did that come from? I forgot about that part, right? But it gets worse, girl. Yeah, the gag is she actually hates women and does all this to perform for males. I wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't sound like she likes women very much. I mean, she's a woman and now she wants to be a male. So, or maybe wants to be a male, maybe not. I don't know, girl. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. I would not be surprised, girl.
Teams. So the main person for one team is a person on the other team. And the goal is to get people on your side who's going to believe what you're saying. And it's a lot of manipulation that takes place. I cannot remember all the specifics of the game. There's 3 decks of cards that you pull from. I do remember that, like, you got gaslighting, you got negging, you got all these different characteristic type of communication traits that you use that are negative when doing manipulation. And some of them, like triangulation, was in there. Some of them I hadn't even heard of before that was in there, so I didn't even know how to use the card. Or you had to make up you had to come up with something to where that it made sense. I mean, it was a crazy game. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, it's a party. So eventually, Maya and Princella go to sleep, and then me and Jasmine, we go get. Wait. I think I was like, dang, they took like real fast. So that was day one, so fast, and anybody will believe the story that she comes up with. So, we ended up, me and Jasmine wanted to go to sleep. Well, me and Jasmine ended up falling asleep on the bed that we thought was ours. The next thing I know, Princella's in the bed with us, as well as here comes Amaya. Amaya, she's on my arm, and so I was like, oh, it's a party. So eventually, Amaya and Princella go to sleep, and then me and Jasmine, we go get into the side bed. Like, what?
So they were in their beds, and next thing the ladies know, Princella brings her child to lay in the bed with them. Is that what I'm hearing? Or am I... That sounds like what I'm hearing.
We was like, dang, we got our bed took like real fast. So, that was day one over. Very crazy day. Then we get into day 2, and I just had a feeling that when we got to Hot Springs, it was going to be if they had any time together alone, then something was going to go down. Because I thought Jasmine may have taken the advice from what I had told her earlier, but we will see later on in this story that she just let everything go in one ear and out the other. Now, this is me protecting her like a little sister. Mind you, context, I ain't never talked to no woman. I don't talk to women, so I'm going to have to finish the rest of this at work or something. There'll be a part 3 coming up.
Let's listen to part 3.
Just want to address a few things before I get into part 3. So there's a Jam 8269 on YouTube that commented on Kalu's video. And her comment to me was very hilarious. I think she should take up a career in comedy because she would get paid well. To sit up here and even type out, do your research before you create a title. Ma'am, do your research. Can you tell me when that stalking allegation started? Please tell me. Can you tell me the actions that took place during stalking? Did you catch the receipts that I dropped yesterday? Please inform me when the stalking started. Now, we know that Princella is really good with doctoring up paperwork. We know that the paperwork that she doctored.
So Jasmine is like the girl that she's currently, the 23-year-old girl that she's currently dating. And I guess they started trying to say that this lady is just a stalker. So when she came out with this allegation, I guess what they were trying to do is make it seem like that she's crazy. She's just a stalker. Doesn't that sound like Dusty DD and how he was doing his victims? How males do victims all the time. When women speak up, they start gaslighting and saying, oh no, she's just in it for my money, this and that. And I found a video of her saying that. I don't know if it was pertaining to this though, saying like, you have to look at what they have and what I have. Kind of like insinuating like, I guess it's like because she has more than them or whatever. I don't know. So that's basically what she's clearing up, is that no, how am I a stalker? Here are the text messages. When I say she brought receipts, she brought receipts. Okay.
About the CPS, like that's not even real. So let's see what they done doctored up for Jim and her crew, because that's what they do. That girl wish I was stalking her. She wish she had a stalker. I was stalk you for what? I know y'all checked those receipts yesterday. I know y'all did. I know y'all saw she saying what she said to me. I know y'all caught that. But let's move forward. Today we're going to talk about her. This is my first time meeting Jasmine. We had planned to meet up.
And she's showing it. We
were going to be traveling.
The little breaks is her showing the text messages and the receipts.
And doing some stuff together, which is why she was joining my travel agency team. We were going to be planning to do stuff when we got to Hot Springs. So we were supposed to do like some headshots for our 501c3. We were supposed to be filming, editing the film, getting pictures, all that kind of stuff. My mind, I'm thinking that me and Jasmine, we're going to sit down, we're going to talk, we're going to plan out our day. We're going to say, okay, let's do this, let's do this. Okay, you ready to do this? You ready to do that? You ready to do this? No. What happened is, we started playing the game again. This is before we went to me and Crystal went to Walmart. Crystal, I don't know what she had to go do. She had to go do something, but she wasn't there for the moment, so we started playing the game again. And this is where the stalking allegations come from. Playing Terry. In the car, we were talking about the military base, because we had passed the military base on the way. And she started talking about...
this is the part I was looking for.
I was like, did you say it was in the Navy? And spent the time figuring out what we were going to do while we were here in Hot Springs, regarding our businesses and all that kind of stuff. But so she came out and I asked her, I was like, what are you doing? I thought that we had a conversation. And she was like, all I know, I've unplugged. But we can work on this pitch right now.
She's talking to Jasmine. They were supposed to be planning for the new business. And apparently Jasmine was like, no, thanks.
Now, you know, whatever, yada, yada. So we start trying to work on the pitch and the car, but it didn't go too long because one of our business partners called and then we started talking to her. And then we went inside. But here's the thing. What did Jasmine do? Did she come in to the room and did she get up, come to the table and we continue to work on the pitch? We set up for the payment slip? No, she arrived in the so no. So a lot which is hour that Jasmine wasn't here to work. The payment slip, Amaya, Princella, Jasmine, they just got right on in the bed together. It was the bed that me and Jasmine were supposed to be in. And Crystal was in the next bed. I was like, well, since I can't come in here, I'll just go in Princella room. And that's where I went. I went to the room that we got specifically for her and Amaya.
Amaya, Jasmine, Princella all got in the bed together. And apparently, don't forget that this was during the time where she was also dating B. Taylor. Okay.
With a door on it. So let's pause for the cause. Do you see that door in the back? There's a window back there. There's a door that closes right there. There's a room with a bed in there. Here is an image of the bed inside of that room. I'm not really sure why Princella was looking at Crystal's wagon, but you already see the behavior. I went in there. That room was a pigsty. It was at this moment I knew that Princella had never been to the military. In the car, we were talking about the military base, so we had passed the military base on the way. And she started talking about the military base, but I was like, didn't she say she was in the Navy or the Air Force? But I ain't saying, I was like, okay, maybe I misunderstood what she said. Maybe I heard it wrong. So now whatever branch she's in is confusion to me, but what's not confusion is how this room looked, because anyone who has been in the military has those mannerisms of neat. So then they're all sleeping there. The next thing I know, I hear this every time, like they would move in the bed, you can hear like it move on the wall. But whatever.
Okay, this is where it gets crazy, y'all. I'm having a hard time syncing this thing up because it doesn't show timestamps on the phone. And I want y'all to see. Okay, here are the pictures that she was talking about. All right. But this is where it gets crazy, where I said, like, okay, it got worse. Okay, so keep in mind that at this point, she's in the bed, apparently, allegedly, she's in the bed. Her, Jasmine, and her kiddo are all in the same bed. All right, so let's go ahead and see what happens next.
I eventually went to sleep. Next morning, here comes Crystal. And Crystal comes into the room. Now, let's pause for the cause really fast because Crystal and we were cool.
She's pausing for the cause. So here are the pictures that she was referring to. Okay, like you can kind of see there's a little door right there, and you can kind of see like a hint of the bed. She paid for Princella for a room for her kiddo and Princella's room. Like they paid for everything for her. Okay, so she showed receipts in the same video of the receipt of payment and everything. That's where they were supposed to be sleeping. So that's what she's referring to.
We had just did a trip prior to. So I think that's why I had a lot of trust in Crystal. But then at one point on that trip, I was like, I had to side eye her because when I was explaining to her what we were doing with the 501c3, we were building it, right? So we got the paperwork together. Paperwork and my money, my $500 into a bank account, and our logo that Mooney made, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're trying to fill seats. Well, we would tell people to come to the meetings, if you want to come to the meeting to try to get on the board or whatever, then come to the meeting so that way we can see where you fit. She never came to a meeting. Saying this on the trip, like, I thought that I was supposed to be included. I thought I was the one that helped put this together. Like, well, You always can come to a meeting, and we are building it, so you will be a part of the building if you come to the meeting. So we never saw her come to a meeting for that particular reason. On this trip with Crystal, she walks into the room and she goes, did you hear them last night?
So we're back to the main story. Crystal walks into the room and says, did you hear them last night? Did you hear them last night? What are you talking about?
And I was like, what you mean? And she was like, girl, I ended up turning over and I looked over there. Why did I see them over there doing stuff? I was like, man, see, this is what I was afraid of, man. I was like, they were too comfortable yesterday. Hey, laying up on each other. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable because it's your birthday. And I was like, okay, I'll talk to them. Because at this point, I wasn't going to talk to them. Even my other business partner that I was talking to, because that night I had let her know, I was like, we got a lot of stuff going on right now. And it's not looking good, especially for the business. And she said, you got to say something. She sucked on her titties in Little Rock when we were there. And I was like, when did y'all even have time to do this?
Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get us through this content, but it's like we end up in weird situations.
For about 30 minutes in the car. We were talking about things all over the place, and I believe it's just because she just needs somebody to talk to. So we're going to casino, we start gambling, and we have some drinks. This time, this is when she's giving, like, do you think I should talk to Jasmine? I was like, it would be fine if y'all just did what y'all did outside of this. I was like, I don't care. I was like, she's that's your choice. I said, she's 23. My head, like, why is she doing this? Did somebody send her for her to do this? What did I do to make her think that I even wanted this? So it was just a lot of things that was going in my mind when she was pulling my hair. And of course, it's fast, so the thoughts are going fast. Crystal comes up to me and she was like, what was that all about? And I don't remember what Princella said, but I was like, just as aggressive as I thought it would be. The guy that you just want to stay away from. Like, I'm able to recognize this guy that we want to stay away from because she done told us about the guy. And I'm coming to the realization that she's talking about herself. After she grabs my hair and says that or whatever, she decides to go to the car. We were walking inside, and I know she was on the phone with B. Taylor. Crystal heard her just like I heard her. She was like, I don't know if I like them. Crystal was like, did you hear her? When she said she don't know if she like us? I said, I did hear that. And I said, I don't know exactly what she was talking about or where she was coming from when she was talking about it, but I heard it. Went to the car to go drop off Amaya, Crystal, and Jasmine because Jasmine didn't want to gamble, and Crystal, she decided that she didn't want to gamble either. She wanted to read her book and just chill on her birthday. So we just respected her wishes. So what I did was I wanted to go back to the casino myself and gamble, and Princella said she wanted to come back with me. We were talking for about 30 minutes in the car. We were talking about things all over the place, and I believe it's just because she just needs somebody to talk to. So we're going to the casino, we start gambling, and we have some drinks. This time, this is when she's giving, like, do you think I should talk to Jasmine? I was like, it would be fine if y'all just did what y'all did outside of this. I was like, I don't care. I was like, she's that's your choice. I said, she's 23. I wouldn't date anybody 15 years younger than me because me and Princella are the same age. I'm not dating a guy that's 23 years old ever. I said, but that's you. And then she was like, bro, I should have never did this. This is not a good look. I should have just not did this at all. I should have just stayed to myself.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I should have did this, bro. This, man. Like, we're walking through the casino. This is what she's saying. Prior to that, we were talking about Jasmine while we were drinking a drink. And basically, I was having a heart-to-heart with her. I wanted to talk to her. I was like, if you want to do that, you need to be private about it because the age thing, they going to come for you on this age. She's still growing up. You know how it was at 23. And I think she was like having a moment of like, oh, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done this, and she was like, oh man, like that's what she just kept saying. I had to come get in the car because I don't know why they're doing construction right now. Like out of all the days, now they want to do construction. All right, so she was like, so what if I do it one last time?
Yo, that was crazy. One last time is wild.
This is when I found out she sucked on her titties in Little Rock when we were there. And I was like, when did y'all even have time to do this? She was like, what about one last time? I said, girl, we all know what one last time means. This is so
insane.
delusional.
So y'all, I think that's the bulk of
She was
it.
like, you know what? Can you just apologize to her on my behalf? And this is where I really think she was setting me up. She was like, can you just apologize to her for me on my behalf, and just tell I want to do it one last time with the mischievous smirk, if you will. But they just put me in even more protection mode to protect Jasmine, because I feel like this wasn't something that she was trying to be serious with her about. She was just trying to just use her body for the time of this trip. And I really did not like that. I didn't like it at all, because later on in the trip, they literally, both of them were trying to give validation on why she should get access to her body. And when she was giving validations back, I was like, oh, y'all can, baby, ain't no need for me to protect you, because this clearly what you want. I call it hyper admiration complex. Student teacher, the student is in love with the teacher. I wasn't in like danger.
Well, y'all, so that's the bulk of it. There was a point where she like said that she confronted Princella, and I was trying to find that part real fast because we got to move on to the next thing.
We got a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's not looking good, especially for the business. And she said, you got to say something.
Yeah, but I couldn't find it.
I said, okay, so this is what we're gonna do today. I was like, me, Princella, and Maya will just all, we'll hang together. Jazz and Crystal, y'all try to, catch up with each other, and then, we'll just, I'm trying to keep it more cordial and not be feeling like she's making this other lady uncomfortable on her trip, because we didn't know what they were doing. Like they didn't discuss it, like, hey, you know what, I'm taking a liking to this girl and I kind of want to get with her, blah 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 blah. And I don't want to make y'all feel awkward on this trip, but yada yada yada. That wasn't talked about. Let's do what we came here to do originally. I talked to Jasmine. I told her, I was like, let's just stay with what we were doing.
So yeah, y'all, that's the bulk of it. So these are the allegations that have come out against Princella, and I think they're pretty stark allegations. I think that it sounds believable to me. So if you ask me if I believe it, oh yeah, I 1000% believe it, especially because she has all the receipts. She filed a report. She has text messages that she's showing all throughout the video. Let me show y'all so her name is Dana.FullyLove, if you want to go and watch those videos, because we kind of had to get through the core, most important parts so that we can take a look at the rest of it. But I think, look, moral of the story, don't do it, because apparently there's a lot of recruiting that happens through those events that she throws, and she was actually doing these things, from what it sounds like, with her kiddo in the same bed. So that was a little strange. Okay, because apparently the accusation here is that you were doing things with this 23-year-old girl and your kiddo was right next to y'all sleeping, or whatever the kiddo might have been pretending to do, because kids pretend to sleep, especially if they're uncomfortable. So you never even know if they're actually asleep or not. You're just like doing whatever next to the kiddo, right? So that's kind of where we're at. So many allegations. Apparently she was never in the military, or she was in the military and got dishonorably discharged, one of the two. Okay. It's a lot. She's recruiting from the events that she puts on. So warning, I know a lot of her followers, I feel like, are going to keep following her, that's why I say, like, I don't know what the deal is with women, because it's like, there's a lot of them that are going to make up excuses for predatory behavior and stuff. And if it would be one thing if that was the only thing, but it's not. It's like all these other issues, right? So let's go ahead and dive into the next, the core topic. We're going to talk about, femicide rates and safety tips. This story came across. It's about a TikTok. There's 2 TikTok stars that we're talking about today. This lady here got married to some male species. I don't know what was happening where her kiddo literally, okay, alert. Okay, like what is the alert that I put on the thing? Okay, but so we're diving more into this now, okay, with the alert that I put on the thing, right? But her kiddo apparently drowned in their pool. Okay, and I guess now she's trying to file for a SUS charges, negligent charges. She's trying to, like, I guess, sue her husband, from what I'm understanding, for being negligent because the kid was underneath his care, apparently. And so she's trying to file charges against this male, saying that the male was negligent. This is a TikTok star, y'all. This is someone that posts regular content about how perfect their relationship is. And this is one thing that I warn youngins about all of the time, okay? The more they post about their relationship, probably the more degenerate that relationship probably is, okay? Women that are actually in relationships that are closer to somewhat healthier will not sit there posting about it, okay? They also won't sit there posting the complete opposite, like YV Edit, that tells women to decenter males, but she's full on married. It's idiotic, idiocracy in the making. You cannot decenter males when you're fully married. That's stupid, okay? Because marriage is literally the strongest institution that the patriarchy has to offer, like I keep saying. So there's only so much decentering you can do. You will never be able to truly decenter because one of the things that I agree with FV on is it's a solo process. It's a self-discovery process. You can't do that when you're full on married, seeing this individual on a regular basis, having to, allocate your time, attention at any given time to another individual, and you're tied together contractually. It's not going to work. Okay. So I warn y'all about this. We're starting to talk about, femicide rates. One of the most important things for youngins to keep in mind when it comes to femicide rates and femicide in general is that most of the time, in the 95th percentile of times, okay, whoever harms you as a woman is most likely not going to be a stranger, okay? Most of the time, it's going to be a male that you know, okay? Number one, okay? And it could take 2 years, it could take 3 years, it could happen in 5 years. The time length is kind of inconsequential. Really, what matters the most is how long it takes this male to feel the most comfortable with the fact that you're not gonna leave, or you're not gonna like rat him out or tell on him if he does put hands on you. That's literally all it takes, okay? And sometimes it might take them 2 years to be confident about that. It might take them 4 years to be confident about that. It might take them 2 months to be confident about that. But most of the time, it's going to be a male that you're with. It's not going to be a stranger male, okay? It's not going to be a stranger, okay? So in the 90th percentile of times, the male that harms you is going to be a male that you're with, or a male that you know within your family group, within your friends group. Okay, so think about it in this way. Males are hunters. They're predators by nature. Okay, so what happens when they see someone that they want to prey on? Most of the time, they're not just going to like attack. Okay, most of the time, they're going to hunt you down literally. That's what marriage is for. Okay. That's literally what marriage is for. If you don't know what you're doing, the only person I've seen that really was able to make something work in a way that makes sense to me is the sprinkle lady with this marriage thing. So far, the sprinkle lady, and then there's one more Asian lady, you know, that's the only people I've been able to see that they really just went in it because of the money and maybe because they wanted a kiddo. There, you could see that there's not really any emotion there, and they don't try to lie that there like there is mostly, right? So you have to understand that like part of the predatory behavior of males is marriage. Okay. Part of it is marriage because they can entrap you in that contract. Okay. So when a male sees someone that they want to prey on, that they want to assume in any ways, physically, socially, you know, mentally, psychologically, most of the time, 95% of the time, they're not going to just come right out and do it on day one. They're going to hunt you first. Okay. And what does hunting you look like? Okay. That looks like, oh, do you want to go out on a date with me? Oh, what's your favorite color? Oh, what are you doing today? Oh, that's them hunting. Okay. So you have to understand how males function, because males are not the same as women. Males are very, very, very different from women. Okay. Very, very different. Even I say this all the time, by the time a male is 12 years old, that's a full grown adult. It's not the same for women. Women are delusional until who knows when they stay delusional. Okay. So it's not the same for women. Okay. At least 25, 26 for the frontal lobe to develop when it comes to women, but males, you know, just by nature, they're basically fully grown by 12 or 13. They could literally unalive their own mom at that age. Okay. So you have to understand, like, it's very, very different the way that they move. So the way that males hunt is by showing interest in you. That's them hunting you down. Okay. So if you're going to get assumed, or if you get assumed by someone, it's usually not going to be a stranger that does it. It's usually going to be a male that has taken the time to hunt you down, whether it's for a relationship, or it might just happen to be a male that you know within your family, or it might be like siblings, or you know, it's usually going to be a male that's within your vicinity, okay, that has hunted you. Okay, so you have to understand that that's what we're looking at. Patty says, yeah, and sometimes that happens in childhood. Takes you longer to work through things when it's been embedded in your brain that long. Yep, exactly. So let's take a look at the first video, okay?
On July 15th, this is via X, formerly Twitter, writing, "We have completed our investigation into the tragic drowning of 3-year-old Trig Kaiser. After a thorough review of the evidence, we have submitted the case to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office for further review and any potential prosecutorial decisions." Now, the attached memo reads, quote, "Investigators have recommended a Class 4 felony charge of child abuse against Brady Kaiser." And that recommendation falls under Arizona Revised Statute Section 13-3623, which states, "Under circumstances likely to produce death or serious physical injury, any person who causes a child or vulnerable adult to suffer physical injury, or having the care or custody of a child or vulnerable adult who causes or permits the person or health of the child or vulnerable adult to be injured, or who causes or permits a child or vulnerable adult to be placed in a situation where the person or health of the child or vulnerable adult is endangered, is guilty of an offense as follows." Now, because Chandler police allege that Brady Kaiser acted essentially with criminal negligence, they have recommended this Class 4 felony charge under the statute. And according to the law, if done with criminal negligence, the offense is a Class 4 felony. And here's where this case has now drawn national attention, because Emily Kaiser, as I said, is no ordinary mother. She is a major social media influencer with more than 2 million followers on Instagram and more than 4 million on TikTok. Her content often centers around family life, portraying a picture-perfect household filled with warmth, routines, relatable parenting moments, and a couple of her most popular videos shows what a day in her life raising kids looks like. He's like,
You want any mail?
You're not smiling at me. You're smiling at the fan.
So cute.
And other clips capture the picture-perfect moments, the kind of wholesome, family-centered content that helped her build such a massive following.
Welcome to PetSmart. When it comes to driving loyalty, data is part of our strategic advantage. We need a technology.
So to help me break all this down, I want to bring on a special guest, Bob Bianchi, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, who, by the way, I don't know if a lot of people know this, is also an EMT. Bob, in all of the years, I didn't even know, or I apologize if you told me, I didn't realize you're an EMT.
Yeah, Jesse, I've been, since I was a teenager, I took a break for a while and I got recertified and I'm riding on my rescue squad and I love it. And, you know, it kind of fits into a lot of the crime aspects and the things that we do. People know me.
So she left the care of her youngin, her kiddo, in the hands of this male that she is married to. Okay. And this is, and I chose to use big star TikTok influencers because the youngins will be looking at this family life, being with a male, married married to a male, as what to aspire to, because like I say always, the women keep lying. Okay, you keep lying to the younger generations, you keep lying to young women. I don't know if you want them to suffer. You just don't care if they suffer. You just only care about your image. But I think it's unacceptable. And most of them, what they're doing is just lying to you. Okay. And they'll show like a picture perfect family life. I mean, look at the stuff that she was posting here, as if this is like, look, day in the life, mommy, family, look, the kids. Look, doesn't that look like, oh, this is like a perfect family? Look at this. This is the type of content that she posts. She's posting the bald-headed, degenerate male that's making, I don't know what, he's probably not even making anything. She probably just wanted the picture, okay? Because it doesn't even look like, his face doesn't even look like he knows what's happening there. You know what I'm saying? So this is the type of stuff that these type of women will post to trick you just because they want to make it seem like, you know, they have the perfect setup. There is no perfect setup when it comes to dealing with a degenerate male species, with a male species. There's no perfect setup there, okay? If you want to be with a male really, really badly, you're going to have to give up. You're just going to have to give up a lot of things to do that, okay? Because the males are not socialized to give a crap about helping you in the kitchen or to give a crap about helping you with the kiddos. So she left her kiddo in the care of this male, the father of the kid, and the kid ends up drowning as a result of that. Okay. So now the recommendation after the investigations have taken place is that they're recommending to her that she file charges against this male for negligence. Right? Because he was supposed to be watching the kid and I don't know what he was doing. Right? So you can't even, I say this, and this was important for us to start with because a lot of youngins will say, well, I want kids. Well, that's not a good enough reason to trap yourself in a marriage or any type of contract or in the same house with a male species, because they're not going to help you with those kids 95% of the time. Okay, 95% of the time, the male species is not interested in helping you with taking care of any kids. Okay, and you would even have a hard time. I mean, a lot of youngins might be delusional, and you might think that, oh, it's okay because I'm leaving the kiddo with the father. But most of the time, I wouldn't even advise for you to live your kiddo with their dad. I know it's so unfortunate, but I wouldn't advise for you to live your kiddo with the father because you just never know. You just never know. So I always say, and I've always said since the beginning, if you want to have a kiddo, make sure you can do it by yourself. Okay. make sure that you have the support systems that you feel like you'll need. All women, I would not recommend no males. Okay. And when you have those support systems, you have to make sure that you're doing it give and take also, because you don't want complications arising in the middle of you trying to care for this child, because you're doing nothing but taking and you're not giving, right? So you have to make sure all of these things are in place that are separate from the male species, even if you're married to that male, even if you live with the male, because I would not, especially in today's day and age, trust my kiddo, male or female kiddo, with no male species. I don't care if you're married to the male. I do not care. Okay, I would not be able to do it, because you just never know. Most ASUS of children and children that grow up to be ASUSers happens at the hands of, guess who? The male species, the father, or the male species cousin, or whoever, right? Usually a male species that's within the family, not excluding, but especially the father. Right? So this is like a perfect example, and it gets even worse when we look at the comments section. Everyone is blaming the woman. They're blaming you. All right. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind if you decide you want to have. Hi, Vet Victoria. Thanks for joining. I just saw that. Thanks for joining, Vet Victoria. So that's another thing that you have to keep in mind if you decide you want to have kiddos, right? Is look. Okay, anything that goes wrong, society is not going to blame the male species, because we live in a patriarchy. The male species will literally get away with unaliving you just by delaying paperwork to go to court. Look what happened with Dusty Dee. We covered it in a live, and I said it when we covered it in the live with Dusty Dee. 2 to 3 weeks before the verdict, I said, y'all, the bros are going to let their bros off the hook. And that's exactly what happened. They let them off the hook with a slap on the wrist. They don't care about violence against women. So that's another thing that to keep yourself safe. The best advice I can give, okay, to youngins, especially because I know youngins are not going to want to listen to you. A lot of them don't want to listen. They don't listen, and they end up wanting to learn the hard way. The problem is when you're dealing with a male species, the hard way usually ends up with you being unalived, raped, hands put on you, trauma that you won't be able to get over. Okay. So it's harder to learn these lessons in that way. One of the biggest things to make sure of in order to keep yourself safer is to make sure you have your own assets. And when I say assets, make sure you have the big ticket items. You have your own house. I didn't say apartment. We're not talking about apartments like YV Edit and her male species. They live in some tiny apartment and they're like in their 30s. I don't see the purpose of such a marriage if you're just sitting there living in an apartment. What was the purpose of getting married in the first place? I didn't say apartment. I said a little house somewhere that you own in your name. And also a vehicle, transportation that you own in your name. Before dealing with the male species, before even being out there dating, have those two things already and never give them up. Don't put anybody else's name on any of that stuff that's not your name. Okay, because a lot of males will come in and during their hunting phase, they'll try to see and play this game as to how much they can get away with. Okay, and they'll test you out. Okay, and they'll ask you for little things to see how much they can get away with, what you're willing to do for them. And that test never ends. Okay, because over time, they're going to try to see, okay, now can I get away with more? Okay, now can I get away with more? Okay, now can I? So it's a never ending game. Okay, when you're in a relationship with a male species. All right, so you always have to have your own stuff that you somewhere you can go to, because it doesn't matter if you feel like you've known this male for 10 years, 15 years, right? He could be a pedo for all you know. And then all of a sudden, 15 years later, you wake up and you decide to accept the fact that he's a pedo, or you find out that he's a pedo. Then what are you going to do? Right? So that's the first and most important thing that I can say, or recommendation as far as keeping yourself safe, is to get your own big ticket assets. Already own your own big ticket assets. Okay. So that's a house and that's a vehicle. That's transportation. Okay. Another thing that will help you with is it will help you better filter or keep away the more dangerous predators. It's not going to do it all the way, but it's some of them, it'll help you keep away some of them that might otherwise have tried. Okay. Because if you have more than the male species, a lot of them get intimidated by that. Okay. Even if they don't know that you bought it yourself, even if you say like, yeah, it was a gift from the family, I take care of it for the, it's within the family or whatever, they get intimidated by it, especially if they don't have a place of their own. And a lot of times that's going to be a repellent for potential abusive partners. Okay. So having your own stuff from the start, before you're even out there dating or talking to anybody, is number one priority. Okay. If you want to reduce your chances of ending up with an abusive male, it's that important, right? And then you have more to lose. So a lot of times that will force you to think more than once before making crazy decisions as well, right? The second one I always say is don't lock yourself in a marriage contract. That's hard for a lot of women to do, but that's the second thing I would say. So coming back to these comments here, all of these comments, and a lot of them are from women, they're blaming the woman. They're blaming the wife, right? They're blaming her for the unaliving of her kiddo. So society will blame you. You will be blamed, okay? So you have to understand before locking yourself in a contract and in a box with a male species that this is the repercussion of that, okay? Because this is a patriarchy. So all of these women, look, this woman says, I don't even trust my toddler alone in the yard without having a pool in my yard. So this woman says, even though I don't even have a pool in my yard, I don't even trust my toddler to be alone in the yard, and I don't even have a pool, much less having a pool in the yard. They're blaming the woman. Okay, so you're going to be blamed. That's why when you sit back, I say you need a minimum. I said this in my last live, I believe. You need a minimum. If you're going to decenter males, this goes back to the fact that, look, you can't decenter males if you're married. It's idiotic. Okay, it's stupid. And these women need to stop lying to other women because you're making it difficult for future generations to know what's real because you keep lying, because you're delusional and mentally ill. You cannot decenter males when you're in a marriage contract, the strongest institution that the patriarchy has to offer. It's not possible. To decenter males, my recommendation is to be single for a minimum of 3 years. I said 2 to 3, but I say at least 3 years. Don't date them. Don't speak to them. Don't do anything but focus on yourself for 3 years. And you can't do that if you're married. Okay. You can't do that if you're married. But that's my recommendation as far as like another safety tip. Do not interact with males in any capacity for at least a minimum of 3 years. When you get lonely, when you feel lonely, learn how to deal with those emotions without a male involved. Okay. If you're bored, oh no, I don't have anything to learn how to deal with those emotions without a male involved. Okay. Because that will keep you safer in the sense of if you meet a degenerate male, you're going to be out of there a lot quicker. Okay. Because you're not going to be so scared of being alone. You're less likely to become codependent. Okay. You're more likely to be independent. Okay. Which is what I named the channel for a reason. I named it. One of the reasons I named it that is because I noticed that a lot of women are not independent, and it's weird. It's creating a lot of issues for the younger generation, and it makes no sense. Okay. Especially these older women. Okay. And they keep redoing the same mistakes and telling the younger generations to do the same mistakes. Okay. And that makes no sense because you need the independence in order to keep yourself safer. You need to be able to operate on your own, and you need time to be able to do that. okay, to be able to learn how to do that. All right. So that way you're not out there, you're not desperate, you're not doing it because you just have to have someone there, you know. So a lot of the tips that I'm sharing are not tips like regular tips like, oh, just carry a weapon. Yeah, you should carry a weapon. I carry a taser. I carry is it mace, like the pepper mace, with me. So and my taser looks like a pen, so you would never even know that it's a taser. So, but those are like things that you should definitely always do. But I really like to prep ladies beforehand so that hopefully you don't ever really have to experience the more extreme things that come with not being prepared. Okay. So that's another thing that I recommend is like, okay, if you're going to decenter males, you're going to need a minimum of at least 3 years of not really speaking with them, not engaging with them, and being by yourself, in yourself fully. You can have women friends. You can have like, you know, I wouldn't even have male friends if I'm being completely honest. Like, I don't believe really in male friendships, but, you know, I wouldn't have male friends just because we live in a patriarchy. You might subconsciously be relying on that male being there as a male because he is a male, and you won't really know that that's what's happening because it's happening on a subconscious level. And so if you do get back out there and decide to start speaking to males or dating males, what ends up happening is because you didn't do the work thoroughly, okay, you're less protected. You're more likely to have potholes that you should have been working on that you didn't work on because you had too much of a kind of like, oh, well, I still have this male here, so it's fine, you know, on a subconscious level. So if you're wanting to really keep yourself safer, don't have any males around during that time. All right. That's another thing that I recommend. But one of the biggest things is for you to understand, look, even the women will blame you. You know, this woman says, you know, there's no empathy. You're not going to get empathy just because you have a kid. Okay. If you have a kid, you're probably going to get even less empathy. They don't like mothers. The society doesn't even like children. Okay. So you wanting a kid, that's up to you. But you need to, my biggest thing is for ladies to know the reality of what that entails before you choose it. Okay. And you should be choosing. All right. So this, you know, this lady says, up until recently, I didn't even know who she was. We're listening about a lady whose kiddo drowned. And this is the type of comments that we're getting. Right. If it would have been a nanny or a babysitter or someone else caring for the kids and this had happened, they would press charges on them immediately, right? So I don't even know if she hasn't pressed charges on this male, you know? So all of these comments, none of them are focusing on the fact that the child was in the care of the male and the child drowned in the care of the male. No one is focusing on that. No one is focusing on that. There is no empathy here. Okay. This is the world you'd be bringing the child into. You need to understand that. All right. So rich and exploiting. Oh, look, someone says so rich and exploiting their kids, but can't put up a pool fence. So you're rich, you're exploiting your kids for clicks and views, but you can't even put up a pool fence. These are the type of comments you'll get. Right. The other thing, so Patty says the other thing they'll say is it's passed down from family. They say that you are too proud as well. They'll look at that as saying pride goes before the fall. In what regard? I'm not sure in what regard that is, Patty. But when it comes to, you know, a lot of people, another thing for ladies is you have to, part of why it's so important to decenter males and take time to do it is because you will never win in this system. Okay. No matter what you do. So you might as well find and do whatever it is that you want to do. Because if you have kids, this tragedy just happened, and look, they're still blaming her. Everyone is talking about anything and everything except for the male that literally let his own child drown, right? If you don't have kids, oh, you're just selfish. You're this, you're that, because you didn't have kids, right? So the takeaway from this, knowing and understanding this, is knowing and understanding that, look, society doesn't like women. If society doesn't like women, they definitely don't like children. They don't care about it, right? They just want you to fall in line so you can be more easily controlled. So knowing that, I think it makes more sense for you to choose your own path as opposed to just like doing whatever just cause, right? Look, they have enough money to hire a swim coach for their child and also put a fence around the pool. But being aesthetically pleasing is more important than being a parent nowadays. These are the type of comments that we're getting, 369 likes, right? So because she's a TikToker influencer, she gets even less of a break, right? So this is kind of, and I mean, I kind of get it, because I always say, stop lying to the younger generation. This is nonsense right here. This is not, the male isn't even capable, and they're not even interested in being capable. Okay. Even ChatGPT is censored against talking negatively about males. I had a conversation because I was watching a movie yesterday, and I got so pissed and irritated because it was about a stupid lady. She was dumb. Yes, she was. But she married some male that was from like Islam or somewhere else, some other country that had totally different beliefs, right? And limits the freedom of women even more, where they have to wear that thing on their head and blah, blah, blah. She's from America. She followed this husband that she was married to for 7 years to his country because he told her, oh, I haven't been back to my country in so many years. And like, da, 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 da. So he convinced her and her daughter, like he convinced her to take her daughter with them to go visit his family in his own country, where women have no rights, like even less rights than here in the United States. And guess what he ended up doing once they got there? Okay. Once they got there, they were supposed to stay for 2 weeks. And on the day that they were supposed to leave, he tells her, no, we're actually not leaving. We're not going back. I don't want to go back to America. We're staying here. So he essentially kidnapped her and the kiddo, right? And told this lady on the day they were supposed to leave that, no, we're not going back. And this is 7 years into the marriage. Okay. And so he takes their passport so that she can't leave, took their passport away, and then starts beating her, because in that country, it's not a big deal. Everybody watches while the women get beat, right? Everybody just stands around and watches. They don't care, right? You don't have any rules. And if you're in their country, game over. They're not going to, the US is not going to help one person, right? They're not going to be able to help you, especially if you're one person. Now, if you had money, if you're like a rich person, sure. But if you're just like a regular person, those go missing every single day, right? And again, like I'm saying, the number one thing, if you take nothing else, is it's going to be the male that's closest to you. Because a lot of women get this wrong and think it's a stranger here, it's a stranger there. It's going to be the male that's closest to you that out of nowhere puts hands on you, out of nowhere starts calling you names, all these things. So Patty says, in regards to land and home being passed down. Oh, yeah. Okay. Example, I live in 100-year home and they say this stuff to me at times. Oh, that it's pride. Yeah. I've learned that they don't like it. A woman with property. Oh, yes. They do not like, that's why some women will choose to lie about like the fact that they own the property. The reason, and when they don't like something, that's probably a good sign that that's the direction you want to go in. Okay. Because you got to think, okay, why wouldn't they like someone having property? That seems like a pretty positive thing to me. Like if you own your own property, you have your own stuff, you don't have to be a burden on anybody else. You can take care of yourself. Why is that something that you wouldn't like? Right. So one thing that I use with the males pieces a lot is whatever it is that they don't like, it kind of tells me more that that's probably the right answer. Okay. So you always have to go with the opposite. If they don't like that thing, it's probably because that thing keeps you safe in some way, or it's taken away from them being able to control you, or it's taken away from them being able to manipulate you, or they don't have that thing, right? So they want to make sure males, when they don't have something, or say they don't have a house, they don't have a car, they don't have any assets, they're poorer than you. When they don't have something, they're not going to go try to get it. Okay. What they're going to try to do is try to make sure that you lose whatever it is that you have. So they don't try to come up using you. Usually what they'll try to do is they'll try to come up while bringing you down. Okay. So that way they can be and feel better than you. Okay. So you have to understand that, like, that's just the way that the patriarchy is set up, right? And they don't like it. That's exactly correct, Patty. They will not like that you have your own property. They will not like that you have your own vehicle, okay? They won't like these things. You don't even really have to tell them if you're going to deal with a male, or you can. I'm not against like telling them like, oh, it's passed down from a family or whatever, but you have to have it. Okay, you have to have it if you're going to deal with the male species. If you want to keep yourself safer, there's no way around it. There's no way around it, because what happens if he starts putting hands on you? What happens if you have a kid and he starts putting hands on the kid in a way that you don't appreciate, on your kid that you stressed your own body to bring here, like what happens then? You're not going to have anywhere to go. Right. And that's the reason why they feel comfortable enough to do it in the first place. It's because they trap you to make sure you don't have anywhere to go. Like that movie I was talking about, he basically kidnapped his own wife and child into a country where he knows there's no rights for women in that country. And he has a daughter, doesn't care, doesn't give a crap, right? There's no rights, right? So she can't leave. He took her passport. So you have to take a look at what have they been trying to take from us this whole time? And that is usually where you'll find your safety. Okay. Whatever it is that they've been trying to take from women this whole time, women and girls this whole time, that's where your safety is. That's why they've been trying to take that from you. Okay. So what is that? The ability to work, the ability to own land, the ability to go out, start your own business, open a bank account. That's safety. That's the true meaning of safety. That's what it really looks like, right? So even if you encounter some psycho male that all of a sudden put his hands on you once, you have somewhere to go. You're out of there. Bye, sir. Goodbye. Right. Another thing is making sure that you have a savings. That's why I'm like, I don't know that it's worth it, because all of these things you should just do for yourself regardless. I just don't like when you deal with the male, it just adds an additional layer of like danger that's quite unnecessary, because you're not really getting anything in return. You're not getting enough in return for that, but if you're going to do it, these are the things that you should already have, right? Like if you want to keep yourself as safe as possible, you got to go for the things that they try to take away from you, because there's a reason they try to take away these things from you, right? And then you also have to go in it awake, alert, and aware. You have to understand, like, look at how society treats women. Look at how they treat children. Never to get, look, my doctor strongly advised me never to get a pool with young children, and these things have tons of likes on them. So you can't even say that these are bots. I mean, this is 264 likes. She lost her right to privacy and her children's privacy by exploiting her children on public platforms for millions of dollars and predators to watch. So you're going to be blamed, so you got to understand that. I wouldn't leave even if I was thinking about it. Why would you leave this as a comment? You know what I mean? That's literally underneath the video saying that her kiddo was unalived. So that's something that those are some things and some tips on how to keep yourself safer. Also, y'all, You can also keep yourself safer if you're going to deal with males. You can also keep yourself safer by having multiple males, right? Or giving the impression that you have multiple males, even if you're like, oh, he's just a friend. Oh, he's this, that, because males, they don't fear women. Who do males fear? That's right. Males fear other males. Right? So if you have other males in the picture, it doesn't have to be like, it could be just a friend. It could be like, oh, my dad. It could be like, oh, my brother or whatever. And it doesn't, you might not even ever talk to them. They might just think that you do, right? Or think that you're close to them. Just by doing that, you're probably going to be safer, because males don't listen to women. Who they listen to are other males. Who they fear are other males. So the perception of having other males in the picture, that alone is going to keep you safer as well if you're wanting to deal with males. The safest option you can go with is just not dealing with them, okay? And also, I say this to the youngins, but I get it, because whenever I was younger, like in my teenage years, I didn't know jack squat. I would literally like sneak out. Girl, I would sneak out. I wouldn't come back till like 1 a.m. I don't know how I got so lucky, but like, don't do that, right? Like, come home early, because these males are always lurking outside looking for women to assume, prey on. Bars are, don't drink anything that some stranger gives you. These are like the ones that we hear the most frequently, but I want to say it anyway. Don't drink anything that any stranger gives you that you didn't see prepared yourself, you know. And really, honestly, I wouldn't really go out with males, because you're just safer when you don't go out with males, and you go out during the day and be home on time by like 10 or latest 11. 11 is kind of dark, but like latest 11, right? Be home like at a reasonable time. So some of like the ones that we hear most often. Okay. And you can never let your guard down. That's another disadvantage of women having to live within a patriarchy, is it never ends. Okay. You can never let your guard down. Doesn't matter if you're 10 years married, 15 years married, 25 years married, it never ends. Okay. That's why I say, like, you have to take a few years to actually decenter. Okay. And decentering is more about learning about yourself and being comfortable just being by yourself. If you find that you're getting bored by yourself, you haven't decentered enough. I never get bored by myself. Girl, the time flies. And I don't even work. I work for my own self, and every day time just flies by. Like, I literally have to put stuff in my schedule, make sure I'm socializing. And, you know, my main thing is trying to build more women friendships right now, you know. So if you are seeing or feeling like I'm bored, or by myself, or I'm just going on these dates because I'm bored, I want something to do, like, then you probably haven't really decentered in the way that you need to, right? You got to be fully comfortable just being by yourself. You just got to be fully comfortable with that prospect. And you being bored by yourself means that you probably don't know yourself enough. Okay, so you have to get to know yourself more, because you really should be able to have the most fun by yourself. There's nothing, what fun are you going to have with a male species harassing you all day? You know, like, that's the thing. So if you're finding that you need that, then you should probably work on your independence. Okay, yeah. Hi, Barbed Wire. Thanks for joining. Yeah, women need to stay away from, so Barbed Wire says women need to stay away from men and move to rural areas where there is less males. Even the incels know it's harder to control men in rural areas. I agree with women need to stay away from men. That's probably a good idea. But, you know, I don't know, with this patriarchy, the way it's constructed, I don't know how realistic it is, because you're going to run into males when you're eating, walking down the street, at work, whatever the case may be. So I think survival is the most important thing. Like, what do I need to do in order to make sure that I survive, being that I have to live amongst the male species? Because most women, no women No woman asks to be being beat every day. No woman asks to be unalive, you know, by their partner or by some degenerate male. No woman is asking for that, right? So the males are doing that regardless. And so the issue is that we are in a patriarchal system that has us all mixed in. You know, it's not like the Spartans, for example, that knew better and had them separated. The males were here, the women were here, right? It has us all mixed in. So now it becomes a question of, okay, now what? Now how do I survive with a bunch of my own apex predators walking around? And again, it censors women to the maximum degree. Like I said, I was arguing with ChatGPT because I was so irate by this movie. He was like beating her in front of the daughter, like did not care, totally kidnapped this lady that was so dumb and impressionable. But just because you're dumb and impressionable does not give you the right to put hands on someone. So it was getting me really irate, and I was getting into the zone that I get into, like, whereas like, why do these males have to exist? Like, they shouldn't exist anymore, you know? So I started talking to ChatGPT, and I was like, you know, why do we have to have males exist? They shouldn't exist anymore. And it was censoring me for saying that. And I would say, well, males are the ones that commit over 95% of all violent crimes, you know, and it was censoring me for saying that. So as a woman, your feelings are censored, even on ChatGPT, right? Because they want to make sure that you are in the direct proximity of your own apex predator. Okay. And if they let that idea spread, okay, then it's going to make it harder for them to make sure that you're in the direct vicinity of your own apex predator, right? So they'll censor you, right? They'll censor you at every level. They'll censor you despite the fact that over 95% of violent crimes are committed by males, right? So even their ChatGPT censors that, you know, so you got to be mindful of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. But so Bardwise says true, but men are moving out of rural areas, I think, and the land has edible plants to eat as well as plants for medicine. I like the rural area idea only if you're able to get a bunch of other women to live in close proximity to you. That's the only way, because a lot of predator males know about these rural areas, and so they will hunt there on purpose, right? Where there's no one there, no one to see, no one to help you, whatever the case may be. So unless you're in a somewhat rural area that might not be all that rural because you have a bunch of women, you're surrounded by a bunch of women, I wouldn't recommend it, because then you might get some degenerate male that just like preys on women that are isolated physically, right? Because that's what a lot of males look for, women that are isolated by themselves, right? So, but I like that idea. If the patriarchy, I don't know, I feel like the patriarchy makes it hard, you know, to build the things that are safest for women. Yeah, there's less competition in rural areas for jobs that are, yeah, and there are less competitions, which is why males are moving. Yeah. So it's a good idea as long as you're surrounded by women. If you're just there by yourself, I wouldn't recommend a rural area, because it only takes one degenerate male, and over 95% of males are degenerates. And a lot of them specifically hunt in that way. They will specifically hunt based off of the fact that it's a rural area, and they'll look for their next prey just based off of that fact alone. Okay, so you need women. If you're going to be in a rural area, you need a group of women there. Okay, so that way, you know, you are probably better safe, better protected than if you had a group of males there, to be honest with you. That's one of the things I told ChatGPT was like, the problem with males is that they're cowards. Okay, one of the biggest problems with males is that they really are cowards. They're not protectors in any way, shape, or form. I don't know where they got that from. Women protect, and the males look out for themselves first. They're scared of each other. So if a male sees injustice happening in front of them, they won't do anything about it. But the women probably would. There's going to be at least one woman there that does something about it. And it's usually a woman, right? If they see something happening in front of them, that's like, what are you doing? It's usually going to be a woman to speak up. The males won't. Okay. So the problem, one of the biggest problems with males is they're pretty weak. So you got to understand, like, if you're getting with a male, males are weak, right? So you're going to lose even more because of that, right? So you got to remember that. Remember, not all males have survival skills. Yeah, males, I don't even do, yeah. I'm thinking about, do males even have survival? Yeah, they have survival skills, but not all males have the survival skills, you know? So yeah, that's true too. They don't have tracking human skills. Yeah, they don't. I don't think a lot of them, if you're in a rural area, you don't need tracking human skills because you're in a rural area. All they have to do is follow you. That's literally it. All they have to do is follow you for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, learn when to strike, and then strike. That's it. It's as simple as that. And if you're a woman and you don't have a way of defending yourself, you lose, right? So they don't really need tracking skills. They might need tracking skills, again, if you have other women around you. that would make it complicated. That would make it a more complicated process for them, for sure. But yeah, but I agree, a lot of them don't have any skills that are worth, in my opinion, getting stuck with one of their species for. Because they can't even protect you. Really what protects you is what I've been telling y'all. The safety I've been telling you guys about is assets. That's really what protects you, which is why they've been keeping it. They've been doing everything that they can to keep it away from women. If we look at like third world countries, for example, that have no women's rights, what do they keep away from women? Going to school, being able to open a bank account, being able to like make your own money. These are the things that actually protect you. That's why they keep it away from you. That's why they keep it away from you. That's why they did it here in the US for as long as they did, until they couldn't do it anymore, lest their whole system collapses, right? So these are the things this is your actual protection, not a male. A male can't protect you from jack squat. As a matter of fact, most of the predators that are males are going to be males that you know. Okay, males that are within your vicinity, right? So let's take a look at the last video here that we have. And this is like another TikToker, very, very sad situation, but it's like a really good example, because I tell you, another part of keeping yourself safe is I don't watch them. I don't watch influencers that go around parading kids and families. I don't watch them. First of all, I feel kind of bad for the kids that they're parading around, right? Because there's a lot of pedos out there that are looking at your kiddos, and they're pedos. They're pedo males, okay? And secondly, I don't believe them. I feel like, okay, but you wouldn't be doing all, because I know what decentering means, because I've done it. I live by myself. It's like, and every little thing, I'm like, oh, goodbye, I'm going home. I'm out of there. I'm not sticking around. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a safe place to come back to, okay? I have my own home to come back to, and 99.99% of the time, I don't even tell them I have my own home. Like if I'm out in public, I'm talking about regular conversations, playing tennis or whatever. I don't tell these Neanderthals anything about me, right? But yeah, so that's the thing, is like, I would recommend not watching that type of content. I wouldn't engage or even watch that type of content, because when you're decentering, you need to center things that are going to be productive and helpful to you. And watching a fake life, hoping that you can reach something that's clearly fake, is not helpful, right? You're going to be distracted. You're not going to be doing the work that you need to do. So I only watch, I watch vlogs and things like that, but of, you know, women that are traveling solo, women that live by themselves, you know, college students, college girlies that are setting up their dorm, and like, you know, they a lot of times have little tips in there. So I don't watch relationship stuff, because I feel like it's very dangerous for women to be watching that type of content, because that type of content doesn't actually exist in real life. Okay. And that's what Disney capitalized off of for so many years. All those Disney movies, you know, all these Disney fairy tales that don't actually exist in real life. You know what I mean? So that's another recommendation as far as safety is don't watch any content that from anybody that's showing or displaying their relationship. Even the ones that talk about their boyfriends, I wouldn't watch. First of all, I don't relate. I don't find it as interesting because I can't connect to it because it's so different from my lifestyle, to be fair. So I don't relate as well to it. But also I just don't believe it. Like, I know the true nature of males. I've seen the data. So I already know that if a woman is happy with the male species, she probably had to lower her standards quite a bit. Probably had to lower her standards and lower her lifestyle quite a bit, right? Like, you can achieve way more just by yourself than with having to drag along a male species with you, right? Like, you would just have a better life. Like YV Edit is living in a small apartment somewhere. They're in their 30s, girl, you know? So it's like she could have probably accomplished way more if she wasn't being dragged down by the male species, right?
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So guys, there's this story I want to bring to you guys. I actually will not be the person telling the story. You'll be hearing the story from the person who experienced this. So this is a couple channel on TikTok. They live this extravagant, perfect couple life. But this girl started uploading a series of videos earlier today talking about how the boyfriend who she showcased to the world as this rich guy is a broke guy without a job that live off
a broke guy without a job. Yeah, that's true, barbed wire. I mean, survival skills nowadays is money and resources. That's what it is nowadays. That's what survival skills is nowadays. If you have those two things, you're good, right? I think it's good to, because you're not going to catch every women are different. You know, they're not like males where they all fall underneath one umbrella, but you're going to have a lot of women that, you know, like different hobbies, like planting. You know, I cook my own meals, and every time I'm going on to like the next thing and the next thing. Now I've gotten it in my head because I read an article about microplastics, and I'm like, I got to get rid of all my plastic. So that's what I'm working on now. You know, so you're going to get women that are interested in that stuff, but you're going to get women that might not really be interested in that. Maybe they're more interested in like painting and stuff. But nowadays, survival skills is, I agree, because I took boxing classes for like every year. I do a little bit of boxing or a little bit of, you know, so that helps too. But really the most important thing nowadays is resources. If you want to survive, you need the resources. Okay. There's that's what you need first and foremost. It's just that's the patriarchy for you. You know, you can buy cameras in your house if you have resources. You can, you know, hire bodyguards if you have resources. You can, you know, so that's the most important thing. But while you're doing your decentering, right, you're also going to come across, what do you enjoy, right? And do you like planting? Do you like, because it's unfortunate, women shouldn't have to do it all alone. If they had a community of women, then it would be a lot easier, because it's really not realistic for one person to be able to, like, now you have to plant your own food. You have to fight off the male physically by yourself. You have to do this. Just get a weapon. And if you're, for that part, train yourself on how to use the weapon and keep the weapon with you. But the most important part as far as safety nowadays is going to be those assets, money, and resources. Unfortunately, that's just the way that this patriarchy was set up, right? That's what you're going to need the most. But yeah, I agree with that.
Her wealth, but went ahead to cheat on her. After cheating on her, she wanted to break up with him. He beat her like he nearly killed her. So I want you guys to watch this video. I feel like it is my responsibility to also bring you the...
Let's start this over again, because this lady, this YouTuber, she's African. Hey girl. So she's African, right? She usually posts content about these nice fantasy relationships. And this story has made her lose faith in this fantasy relationship situation. Even her, the person that posts stories about it, she's like, whoa, that's crazy, right? So let's take a look at, let me start that over because I talked in the middle and feel like I messed it up.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So guys, there's this story I want to bring to you guys. I actually will not be the person telling the story. You'll be hearing the story from the person who experienced this. So this is a couple channel on TikTok. They live this extravagant, perfect couple life. But this girl started uploading a series of videos earlier today talking about how the boyfriend who she showcased to the world as this rich guy is a broke guy without a job that lived off her wealth, but went ahead to cheat on her. After cheating on her, she wanted to break up with him. He beat her like he nearly killed her. So I want you guys to watch this video. I feel like it is my responsibility to also bring you this kind of story because I bring you guys a lot of beautiful love stories. Let's also bring the reality of all this couple channel. And if you enjoyed this video, follow me for more content like this. Check out other videos I have made. Guys, I have code watching this testimony and whatever this girl went through in the hands of this guy.
It's been a really... All right, y'all, let's look at, before we start that, because this is going to be the last video we look at, let's look at some statistics, okay? And I won't overwhelm with too many statistics, but we're going to probably maybe look at more of these just because I feel like it might be helpful, okay? So let's look at some femicide statistics really quick, and then we'll dive into the last story here. Share screen. All right, so here are some of the femicide statistics that you know I feel like every lady needs to be aware of, right? So what is femicide? Oh, I should have started there. What is femicide? Femicide is the most extreme form of gender-based violence, the killing of women because of her gender. So you get killed because of your gender. And that means if you're with a male that is putting hands on you, or unalives a woman while putting hands on that woman, that's basically femicide because he's putting hands on you because you're a woman, right? You're weaker in his opinion and his view of you, right? So I feel like they don't really classify everything that probably should be classified as femicide underneath it, but that's the standard definition, right? So here we have some statistics on femicide. So every single day, at least 137 women and girls are killed by a family member or intimate partner. Okay. So when I say things, it's because this is what I study literally for a living, basically, right? So it's by a family or an intimate partner. That's where it happens the most. So that's where your guard has to be. Okay, that's also where the predators are the most safe. A lot of family members defend predators because they don't want to, some of them don't want to accept that that's the case. They'll make excuses. A lot of women will defend predators, maybe their predator's son or whatever, right? So this is where you look first. You don't look at strangers, you look at your inner circle, okay? And you have to realize and recognize that if you encounter a predator, most of the time, this is where it's going to come from, right? So it's usually a family member or an intimate partner. The result is more than 50,000. There are more than 50,000 femicides each year, okay? So there are so many cases of this happening on a daily basis. And I think this is only like a certain country. Let me see if it has the country listed. I think this is just like either in the US or in Mexico. So over 50,000 in general, that's a lot. That's a lot of women unalivings. And that's also probably not even close to the real number, because you have to think about the fact that a lot of these cases don't get reported. You have to think about the fact that a lot of these cases go misclassified. You have to think about the fact that a lot of women just go missing. You know, like the male might unalive you and the kids, and all of a sudden you're missing. So you're not going to be a part of this count right here, right? So this is happening every single day, very, very often. Oh, look, this has, okay, so this has like different countries. So femicide happens at least once every 8 hours in Africa, for example. It's a big thing in Africa as well. The misogyny in Africa is intense. So when ladies say they want to date African males, I'm like, good luck. I would not recommend it. In my opinion, they get so mad. They're just so, I don't know. A lot of them are just super misogynistic. So you got to be careful if you're playing that game with any male, but definitely in Africa, African males as well. Every 8 hours, a woman is killed in South Africa by an intimate partner. In India, a dowry-related killing results 20 femicides, a minimum of 20, because these are minimums, a minimum of 20 femicides every day. I also heard most males in India are literally get like the DL males, right? So you got to be careful with that too. But we're talking about femicides, a minimum of at least 20 femicides every day. And that's only the ones that they're counting. That's not all the rest of them that they're not even counting. Nearly 7,000 dowry deaths occurred in India just in 2020 alone, right? Let me see if I can okay, yeah, I can move it like this. In Spain, femicides have more than doubled compared to the pre-pandemic levels, right? So in Europe, femicides have doubled. This is why I always warn y'all, it's going to get worse because more and more women are like, you know what, never mind, right? Like, it's not worth the exchange. It's not even because I don't really hate males. I just feel like they're not very useful. So what's the point? Unless I stumble across a 1%er, there's really no point for me. Unless I stumble across one that I feel like is a 1%er, no thanks, right? Because you will lose. Even dealing with the 1%er as a woman, you lose. But at least you can gain something that might be of value to you, okay? So in Europe, the numbers have already gone up, you know, one femicide every 3 days. We're at one femicide at least every 3 days, and it's probably more, right? It's probably more. Between 2015 and 2020 in Latin America, femicides rose across Latin America. So these numbers are continuing to go up each time. Every year, it's more and more. These numbers are increasing. So you have to understand that, like, as far as the numbers that we're looking at. So in Mexico, it's like risen dramatically from the ones that they count anyway. Ecuador, same thing, right? In the Middle East, 400 to 500 honor killings take place each year in Iran. The perpetrators are almost always male relatives. Okay, if you take nothing else from this, take the fact that it's probably someone you know. It's probably someone you know, okay? So be on the lookout, especially with people that you know that are within your circle, okay? Males that you know, relatives, siblings, parents, whatever. It's probably someone you know, right? In the United States, 3 women are murdered every day by a current or former partners. And I know that number is a minimum. That number is way, way more. And most of these, they don't report. So that just tells you like it's a really, really big problem. So those are some stats. I also always link the United Nations, because the United Nations has gotten involved because the numbers are so bad. The United Nations has actually gotten involved, and they are trying to throw money at the problem. I always put that link in the description below. So that link should be in the description below. I can't remember if it's broken and I need to renew the link, but the gender-based violence link is in the description below. I've been linking that gender-based violence since I started making videos on this topic like 2 years, 3 years ago. Always in every single video, that link is there, gender-based violence link, because that's how bad it's gotten to where the United Nations have actually gotten together and determined that this is a global issue. It's a global threat, the rate at which males are unaliving women. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and dive into the last story here that we have, right?
Really long and tough couple of nights. And I guess day or so, because this thing happened yesterday. But I did want to come over here, and because I already posted these pictures, which I know are gruesome and not self-explanatory, I did want to come on here and kind of explain what happened with everything. So this might be a multi-part, not a series, but I guess video, because I don't want to be talking on here for 20 minutes. But I did want to come here and talk about pretty much what happened. Yeah.
men doing at least 150 grand a year. If you're completely out of shape, let's drop the ego and get real for a moment. If you,
anyways, y'all notice her eye,
is a
black eye. That male did that to her, the black eye and everything. Y'all notice her eyes. Youngins, pay attention, okay?
a heavy source of pain for me. Sorry. It's been really hectic. So basically, long story short, I'll start the situation from when I left town. I decided to go on a trip with my mom. Originally, my sister was supposed to come on the trip. I don't even want to get into the weeds of that and make this about my...
Freedom 33, you are a lifesaver. Thank you, girl. What? No one told me. You can't see the video, girl. I forgot to share the screen. Thank you. Oh my God. You know how upset I would have been if I got to the end of the live and there's no screen there? Girl, what? Okay. Oh, thank you. All right. So y'all should be able to see the screen now. And I'm like, notice her eye. And I totally forgot to share the screen with y'all. So y'all notice her eye. Can y'all see that? Let me see if I can zoom in, but I don't know if I can. But she has like a black eye. You can kind of see, can y'all see her black eye inside of her eye too? So you can't even say, oh, she put makeup on. Right here inside of her eye, it's all black and bruised. You see the blood? Yup. Okay, so let's go ahead and start back up here.
This about my sisters. I've been seeing comments and their contributions that are extremely negative. It was all relative to this European trip that we were supposed to take. They didn't end up coming, or one of my sisters didn't, and that just became its own thing, which is now why.
That's okay, Patty. Thank you for letting me know. And thank you, Freedom 33. Girl, lifesaver.
They're, I guess, showing support for this guy. I don't want to get into that. I just leave it to them and their platforms, whatever. But we were planning this trip and I booked the tickets. The reason that I did not want to go to Europe with Ronan is because honestly, I just want to be honest with you guys. He couldn't afford it. And I know that if he was going to come out there and we were going to go to all of these beach clubs and restaurants, I was going to be taking on the bulk, if not all of the financial responsibility, as was pretty standard in the relationship, because he does not have a job. So I was going to be taking on the bulk of that, and I did not want that. So I did not invite him to Europe. And I didn't think it was a good idea that we even went together, because right before the Europe trip, he'd gotten caught cheating with someone like down the street. It was like this big thing, and I don't want to get into that either. But I just did not.
Here's another safety tip that I've said before as well. Do not date a male that doesn't have as much as you have. Okay. Don't date a male. If you have a house, you have a car, you can't date it. You can't date a male that doesn't have a house and doesn't have a car. It's just not worth the risk. Okay. The males always go around saying not all males. Doesn't matter. It's not worth the risk. It's enough males for it to be concerning and not worth the risk, right? So that's another thing. If he doesn't have, I would even say more than you, don't do it. And I always tell women too, don't tell them what you have. It's a safety issue. It's a safety concern. You can't even go around telling them what you have for your own safety. Okay.
I checked out and I stopped wanting to be with him. And that is why I stopped posting content with him. I had originally stopped posting content because I did not want to be in a relationship with him anymore. I also had a real guilt in my heart about the fact that I knew what was happening behind closed doors, and I know what I stand for. I know I'm a girl's girl. I know I'm an advocate for, I know I'm an advocate for women.
Exactly. Freedom 33. Tell them that you're renting. Don't really even tell them where you live, because I always say that you spend time crafting. If you do your decentering like I told you to do it, you're going to spend time and energy crafting your environment, your safe space, only for a male to come in and piss all over it. No thanks, right? So I wouldn't even recommend even telling them where you stay or bringing them in your safe space, right? But that's expected, because I also don't recommend living with a male I also don't recommend living with a male, so that's expected. But yeah, tell them you rent and you're just getting by, you know. Tell them like, oh, it's actually my mom, it's my mom's, and I pay her every month for it or whatever. You know, that's a part, you have to do that. You can't tell them that you own the stuff. You cannot tell them, because it's a safety concern. The males will literally unalive you just because you have assets or you own things and they don't own anything, right? So just lie to them. Tell them like, no, I don't, it's not mine. I live in an apartment. Or if you don't want to say I live in an apartment, like, yeah, I'm just renting. I love that one, Freedom 33. I'm just renting and I just pay the landlord or whatever. Tell them that. That will work all the time, right? Or tell them the family thing, you know, so that way it's like, if you end up, if it's some male that you're interested in talking to longer term, you know, it's like, okay, I'm paying my mom for it. She's actually the one that owns the house. Maybe someday, you know, like something like that. Like, I'm paying my mom for it. So that way you're even safer, because now you've brought your mom in the picture. Okay, you brought someone else in the picture. So he's going to be aware, oh, there's a mom in the picture. There's someone else in the picture, right? And you know, you're keeping yourself safer because you're not telling him that it's stuff that you own yourself, right? So keep your stuff private, personal to yourself. Don't tell the male species jack squat. A lot of women like to overshare, telling him, oh, this, or they want to like flex. You can't flex on a degenerate predator male species. He will literally unalive you. That's why they're your own apex predator. Okay. So don't tell them anything. It's the biggest flex is to not even deal with the male species in that capacity because they're so dangerous. But don't tell them anything about yourself. Don't reveal like your assets. Don't, you know, you might as well just tell them, look, I barely own a bank account. We got the right, so I got a bank account just to say that I have a bank account, but it's like, do I even use it? I don't even know what that is. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell them anything about what you own, right?
Women and empowerment and information exchange and love and honor and all of those things. And what was going on behind closed doors with us did not align with the things that I promote and take pride in publicly. So I wanted to take this trip, and I ended up booking it. He was very upset that I booked it. He wanted me to take him. He wanted me to pay for him to go. At one point, he asked me to put him on my car loan so that he could take out a loan to go to the trip, and he would pay. They could use my car as collateral or something like that. I was like, no, I just want to go by myself, and I ended up going. I ended up booking this trip. My mom ended up coming because all of this fallout happened with my sisters or whatever. And on the trip, I had decided to separate myself from him. Now, I want to start with the day before I left. The day that I left. The day that I left, he actually tried to make me miss my flight. The entire day was... He physically assaulted me. He sprained my toe. I had bruises from head to toe. He just hurt me.
Another safety tip. If he does it once, he will do it again. Period. There's no buts. There's no maybes. There's none of that. So you don't have to question, if you're listening to me right now, you don't have to question, maybe he'll change, maybe he'll do better. Ma'am, if he does it once and you're still there with him, he will do it again. So let the first time be the last time. Okay. Maybe he can improve for the next chick. Who knows? Probably not though, right? Usually with that caliber of degenerate, that doesn't improve. There's no improving that, right? So if he does it once, he will do it again. Don't sit there waiting for the next time or hoping and wishing and praying upon the stars that he changed. He changed. If he loved you, he wouldn't have done it the first time. It's like cheating. If he really was serious about like loving you and just you, he wouldn't have cheated on you the first time, right? But cheating is a little bit not as bad maybe as physically harming someone, but you got to be careful with cheating so you don't catch a disease, like, because they will bring you back diseases just to get back, like just to harm you, right? So if he does it once, he's going to do it again. There is no buts or maybes. Okay, 99.9% of the time, it will happen again. Don't stick around for that to happen. Once he does it one time, she's a runner, she's a track star, gone. Okay.
Hurt me, and he just kept on physically assaulting me. And again, like, I think it was because he just didn't want me to go, and I almost didn't even make the trip. I actually was 5 minutes. I got to the airport at 4:03, and the flight left to Europe, to Ibiza, at 4:50. They told me I was originally not going to get on the flight, and I actually ended up getting on the flight because I was crying and limping and like, no, I planned this whole thing. My mom's waiting for me in Spain. What am I going to do? So they literally let me check my flight. I already checked in the car, but they let me check my bag and such. So we were good. But leading up to me going to Ibiza was hell. I was physically assaulted over and over and over again for hours and hours and hours on end, to which I made my family aware and such. And that in conjunction with his cheating, in conjunction with his inability to provide or keep a stable job, are the reasons that I was like, this Europe trip is going to be time that I use to reflect, to cut him off.
As an owner of Walton Goggins goggle glasses, I know how to make slick-looking goggle/glasses.
Okay, so another tip, because this is one I hear from women a lot, right? Don't what you have to understand that nothing stays the same forever. Everything is always changing. So a lot of women will say, but I've seen it. He's so kind. He's so, that's how he was at the beginning. So I just wanted that person back. Just understand that, like, even if that were true, which it's not, because most of the time they're just pretending at the beginning, like apex predators can pretend for a very long time when they're hunting. Most of them, a lot of them might not be able to go past that 6 month, but a lot of them can pretend for years. Okay, so really what he was giving you was the facade. It wasn't the real person. This is the real person that you're dealing with. But even if that were true, you need to understand that no one stays the same forever. So if for whatever reason you notice that he changed, be gone. If he changed for something worse, or the negative, or, oh, he lost one job, got a new one, then he lost that job and he can't keep a job, be out of there. You're not a parent. You're not there to parent a grown male. Okay. And the sooner you leave, the better, because the sooner that you leave, the easier it will be for you. So a lot of women are scared of the pain that they will feel from having to detach from a male that they've emotionally attached to. Well, you have to understand that, well, the more you prolong that, the more the pain will be. So it's literally illogical to sit there prolonging it for longer and longer and longer, because the more you prolong it, the more that pain will be. So it's in your best interest to not let it get too far and to leave as soon as possible. So Freedom says they get jealous of everything, including a vacation you take. Imagine telling them you own a house. Girl! Exactly. Even a vacation you take, they'll get jealous of. Girl, don't even give them your real Instagram. This tip, I actually heard Shira7 say. Have your fake Instagram. Give the male species a fake Instagram, girl. Because if you're on vacation, you want to go to Mexico. If you're in a relationship with this male or talking to a male, give him a fake account. So that way he's looking at the same boring picture over and over again, right? Because they will get jealous of you for going on vacation, or, but yet not want to do any work, not putting any work, being just degenerate. They don't know the work you had to put in to get to the place you are. They don't care about any of that stuff, right? So give them even your Instagram should be fake. I don't care if you've been with that male for years. Okay, period.
Okay, so I just want to end this part with saying that I decided to go on a trip. I decided that during the trip we would go our separate ways, and the trip was for me to find myself again. And he abused me prior to the trip, like the day of me going to the trip. So it just like further confirmed that we would never work. And I made sure I called my building before I left, because I was able to get him out of my apartment. He wanted to stay when I was gone. I did not want him in my apartment, did not want him driving my car. I took my keys with me. I locked the door. That was a huge fight. Oh my God, it took me hours to get out, but I made sure, and I called down.
I also say this all the time, right? Once you let a male in, it is hard to get rid of them because males are codependent by nature. So another safety tip is to not let them in. Don't let them in, okay? Always, you can't rely on a male for emotional needs. Any woman that's doing that has lowered her standards, because there's no one that's going to be able to give you emotional needs like another woman will be able to give it to you, and not romantically. That's having women friends, right? That's having deep friendships, deep connections with other women, more of a community with other women. That's the connection that most women are looking for in males. The males can't give you that, ma'am. You're going to have to go find female friendships. You're going to have to develop and work to find the right women, the right circle of women, right? And another tip, listen to women when they tell you something. Stop assuming that like they're all telling it to you because of this or this. Listen. Even if you don't take the advice, put it in your back pocket because you'll probably need it, okay? That's a safety tip as well. Patty says, I love being older. I don't have any of those apps, and I'm so thankful that I don't have any of those apps. Exactly, girl. I think those apps just makes it easier for predators to get to you if you're not careful, and predators to get to the younger ladies, right? So you got to be careful with those apps, girl. But yeah, yes, it's so much better if you don't have to deal with the apps.
Down to my building for proof. I have a witness that I told them, do not let anybody in my apartment while I'm gone. There are no authorized guests. There was no authorized guest. Nobody can go in my apartment. Do not let anybody in my unit. And then I flew to Europe. Once I got on the flight, I started texting him. I was very hurt, confused, and lost. I wanted to let him know how I felt, and I kind of wanted him to feel the pain that I felt. And I was just telling him I hate him and all of these like things that women say.
Another thing, y'all, don't tell a male species how you feel, because that you're compromising your safety when you do that. Okay, a lot of women do this. Like, because you get your feelings hurt, now you start texting a male species. You hurt me so much, you do this. I can guarantee you the male doesn't care. And the more you tell him, the more he's going to be able to fake and pretend like he cares, because you've given him all that data and all that information, okay? Don't tell him what your feelings are, texting him these long texts and all that nonsense. You're just wasting your time and you're wasting your emotions. If he cared about that, whatever he did, he wouldn't have done to begin with. That's called empathy. Because it's usually obvious things like, oh, I don't want to be cheated on. Of course, that's going to hurt your feelings if you're getting cheated on. Why are you sitting here explaining that to a grown, degenerate male, right? Or you put hands on me, and it's usually like very, very obvious things. Don't text your emotions to a male. They literally just don't care, right? You're just giving them ammunition to be able to manipulate you a lot more easily, right? All you got to do is watch. And a lot of women are not good at this. It's like, just sit back and watch so you can see who the real person is. Don't tell him how you feel. Don't tell him about you. Don't give him any information about yourself. Just watch so you can see how he operates in his natural habitat without you giving him all the data so that he can then use that to lie to you, right? That's how you really keep yourself a lot safer. Because like I said, the males hunt, and most of this stuff is committed by males, males that are close to you. How? Why? Because they're hunting you. They're getting to know you. They're gathering data on you, right? So the less data you give them, especially when it comes to your feelings, the safer you are, right? So that's one that I know, especially a lot of youngins will fall they'll fall into that trap a lot. Yeah, Freedom says, I haven't dated in 8 years, but I've observed all of this with male acquaintances in my surroundings, even telling me straight up that they're jealous of me. Yes, they're jealous of you. One of the biggest reasons the males created the patriarchy is because of their jealousy of women. The males literally created this entire structure off of jealousy of women, right? Because women are able to bring life. You're able to, you literally decide who comes here, right? So the patriarchy, what does the patriarchy do? It makes it to where males have more proximity to that power, and they're trying to take control of that power through you because you're the one that holds that power, right? So no school, no bank accounts, no this, no that. So they're trying to literally take control of your very being. It's literally one of the biggest, if not the biggest reasons the patriarchy in and of itself was constructed, is because of the jealousy that males have towards women. So you have to understand that. It's just, this is the way, this is their nature. It's their nature, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Patty, that's a good one. Don't let them know. So Patty says, never let them know that you are more intelligent than they are either. If they figure that out, they try to bring you down on any knowledge you have. Bingo. Don't let them know that you are smarter than them. Do not let them know that you're more intelligent than them. Okay. I think I've said this in a live before. Even when I'm speaking to males, girl, I just ask them questions. I don't say nothing to them. I don't really like sit there like having full conversations with them. All they ever usually want to do is talk about themselves anyway. So I'll just sit there and just ask them questions and let them do the work, because actually talking about yourself and all this stuff, if you sit down and pay attention, it actually takes a lot of energy to sit there having to talk, I'll have all these conversations. Don't tell them anything about you, and don't let them know that you're smarter than them. Don't tell, if you have degrees, don't tell them you have degrees. Okay. I don't tell any, like this, I don't tell them jack squat. I don't tell them nothing. Okay. Don't tell them anything, right? Don't tell them that, oh, you're, in school or whatever, because they'll use that, and they'll literally, a lot of males will literally attack you just because of that. One of the things that I've noticed through the years that really angers males is when, for example, you use a word that they don't know the meaning to that word. I don't know why, but that really angers them. It's probably because they can't stand the thought of feeling like a woman is smarter than them, or like you're looking at them like they're dumb. It really angers them whenever they hear that women are smarter than them, or if they feel like you're smarter than them. So if you're going to deal with the male species, you have degrees. I don't care if you have like even a bachelor's, because most males don't have a bachelor's degree. They don't even have a bachelor's. Don't tell them that you have a bachelor's. Don't tell them you have a master's. Don't tell them you have a doctorate. If you're a doctor, don't tell them that you're a doctor. You can't tell them, because you're keeping yourself safer by not telling them, because they will literally attack you just because of that. And you won't even know you're being attacked a lot of times. Right? Because they're watching you, they're learning your behaviors, they're preying on you, right? And what they're trying to do is find the best way to bring you down, like crashing, okay? And that's all the stuff that they'll use to do it. So don't tell them you have degrees. Don't tell them. I don't bring males into my humble abode, so I can decorate it how I want. Things that I'm proud of, I can put in my little wall. If you have things that you're proud of, if you're an artist or something you put on your wall or whatever, it's your safe space. If the male is coming, you have a house, he doesn't have a house, gone. He can't stay. Whose house are you going to go to? Your house, your own safe space? That doesn't make any sense. Right? So that's what I'm saying. You can't date a male that's not on a higher level, because it's a liability. It's a safety concern. It's really a safety concern, right? So don't tell them you have little things that you're proud of, that you like working on, that you enjoy, or you went to school. That was part of the intro video. The intro video, there was the Uber driver gone rogue, right? And he was asking this gorgeous girl, like, so are you in school? And the girl tells him, because it's like an Uber conversation. You wouldn't even think, right? Like an Uber male driver, you wouldn't even think to protect yourself when it comes to like your information against an Uber male driver, right? Because all he was asking was, oh, so are you in school? right? It's at the beginning of the video. I played it as part of the intro. And the girl says, yes, I'm in school. I'm trying to get a psychology degree. That's what she told him. And the male Uber driver was like, a psychology degree? You're going to be so broke. You're not going to make any money. Why would you choose that? That's so stupid. Just starts putting her down right then and there, right? All because she said, yeah, I'm in school and I'm going to get it. Mind you, this male is driving an Uber, trying to talk about someone that's in school. So don't even stress yourself. Don't tell them, even the Uber male, as if it's a male, don't tell them anything about yourself or what you're doing or your education level, nothing, right? If you have to, just make something up that you're comfortable with and use that same answer every time, right? Like, oh, I just take some online classes here and there, something like that, because they will unalive you just for that, girl, for real. So that's a good one, Patty.
Say when they're super upset and traumatized. So I was texting him all of those things like, you did this, and I'm so upset and whatever. He was pretty much dismissive about it. I'll probably post the text here. And I just decided at that point and during the trip that there was no more reason for us to speak. We've been through too much. There was too much abuse and cheating and all of that stuff that went on. So I decided to sever ties. I blocked him from everything, would not let him contact me. He started harassing my mom. My mom also had to block him and tell him stop contacting her. He then reached out to my sisters. My older sister wasn't going for it. My two younger sisters, different story, but form your own opinions on that. I don't even want to talk about it. And so it was finally time for me to come home. I got to my building on July the 12th at, I believe, 10 o'clock at night. And when I pulled up to my building, I was on the phone with my dad and I was talking about how excited I was to be back. And lo and behold, he was already standing in front of the building waiting for me. I don't know how he knew what time I got in. I don't know how he knew he knew what day I was supposed to be coming back, I think, from when we had talked before. I don't know if he'd seen my ticket. I just don't know. But he knew, he timed it. He was standing in front of my apartment building waiting for me outside. When I didn't even get out the cab, he opened the car door and was like, let's go. He grabbed my bags from the cab driver and he tried to take my stuff upstairs and he told me we're going upstairs. I told him we are not going upstairs, and I told him that I did not feel safe with him going upstairs because I know that he was upset that I had blocked him during the trip, and I knew that things were getting out of hand. And if I got alone with him upstairs in my apartment, that I was going to be further physically assaulted and pressured into things that I didn't want to do probably. So I did not feel safe with him going upstairs. We had not spoken for quite some time. And I told him he couldn't go upstairs. He had my bags in his hands. He starts yelling, shut up. He starts name calling me. He starts grabbing me. The security guards downstairs see him grabbing me. There's two security guards and they immediately try to alleviate the situation. They're like, hey, stop touching her. She said you can't go upstairs. You can't go. There's a huge argument in the lobby. He's like, I'm going. I don't give an F. Tell her that, she needs to take me upstairs. I just need to get my stuff. Mind you, he had told me early on when I'd first left and we were having those text exchanges and I'd locked my door and left the house that he called security and they had escorted him into my house and they had already given him his property. He had gone through my apartment, got what he wanted and left. So
mind you all, she told her apartment complex to not let anybody in. She told her apartment complex, do not let anybody in to my apartment because she was already having, trying to figure out how she was going to leave this relationship and stuff like that. She didn't want him in her apartment and they still let him in. So here's another safety tip, especially for the youngins. If you're looking for an apartment, somewhere to live, safety has to be your first priority. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Guilty Angel. Hit the like button as our little group continues to grow. And I love having you guys here. Thank you for joining for this live. Here's another safety tip, right? When it comes to the place that you live, okay, safety has to be the priority. Okay. So even if you're going to live, say you find the perfect apartment, you feel like this is such a great apartment. I love this place. I love living here. Then go to the store, go to Home Depot, pick up maybe an extra lock that you can put on the door where no one can just access your apartment just because of. Don't blindly trust like that the apartment people will even remember, or that whoever you told is even going to relay the message, because most of the times they don't. I lived in an apartment for like years before getting my first house because I was like very particular. This is the type of house that I want. This is what I want. I'm just going to wait for what I want, right? And so that's how I went about doing. There's different ways. Just depends on what you want. The centering, taking that time, 2-3 years minimum. I say 3 years minimum. That's where you learn, like you can give yourself time to learn what you want. You know, where do you want your house to be? What type of surroundings do you want? And then you can kind of just give that to yourself, okay? And that's going to keep you so much safer, right? But get a lock. Put the lock on, you know, look at the Dusty Didi case. That guy got away with a slap on the wrist, and everyone in the hotel, they even have a video of him beating the woman in the hotel, right? So you can't rely on other people's staff members. You can't rely on that. You have to, like, even if you tell them, that's fine. But your number one thought, males don't have to think about this. That's the thing. Males don't walk around thinking about safety. Right? They don't walk around thinking about safety because they are the predators, right? So, but you as the woman, that has to be the number one thing that you think about, right? Especially if you're dealing with a deranged male already, right? You go to, your spidey senses should be tingling, right? Go to Home Depot, get a little lock on the door or whatever, you know, like if he wants his stuff, leave his stuff outside at the hotel with the receptionist where he can pick it up. Already planned for that, right? So, you know, or I wouldn't throw it away because he's elusive, you know, so you don't want to have anything to do with an elusive male. You want a clean break if possible. So that should be your that's another safety tip, because a lot of women will, oh, I told the staff, I told this person, I told that person. I've made videos about police and how you can't even rely on the police because it's an illusion. The whole thing is an illusion from the patriarchy. Women are getting beat left, right, center on a daily basis, and nothing happens to these males. Nothing happens to them. Nothing happens to them, right? So you can't rely on that, right? So that's another safety tip, that you always have to consider safety first and put your safety stuff in place first, right? Okay.
So this is all in contravention to me calling security and telling them not to let anybody in my unit when I'm gone under any circumstances, to which they agreed to. They didn't care. When I left, they went, used their master key, unlocked my unit, and let him into my apartment. And he was able to take whatever in his things. He is not on the lease, and he is not an authorized person in the building. So I don't know how and why that happened. So when he showed up, as I was coming back from the airport, demanding that I take him in my apartment to get his things, I was confused because I knew that he'd already been in the apartment with security. Allegedly, he was like, oh, they walked with me allegedly, like, to get his stuff. And I know for a fact he was in the apartment, but I don't know if he got anything. I don't know what he did. I don't know what him and security were doing. He's made friends with the security guards at the building, and I guess they had a relationship where they were taking him in my house. Security let him into my building when I was not there. So when he did come back and meet me and bombard me at the door when I finally got off my flight, demanding his things from my apartment, it was strange because he already had been inside my apartment to get his things. So I don't know. I then, I would not let him in. A entire debacle ensued. I told him, I finally said, hey, I'll go upstairs and get your stuff, because he was manhandling me downstairs to the point where security's had to intervene. I said, I'll go ahead and get it and bring it down, but I do not want you coming upstairs to my door. There are 3 points of security access when you get to my building. There is the concierge desk, the elevator, and once you get up the elevator, which requires key access, there's a middle door which requires further key access to the units. So I'm thinking like, okay, he really can't get to me. I'm just going to bring his stuff back down through the elevator and just call it a day. Well, when I left my apartment and came out of residences, those middle doors, he had gotten up the elevator somehow. I don't know with the security, I don't know how, but he was standing with 2 security guards, charging his phone on the wall, and then causing a scene, saying that he needed to get to me to talk to me. I handed him his things immediately and was like, gotta go. I turned around to leave, and he starts chasing me down the hallway. Security starts chasing him, so everyone's chasing each other. It's very ghetto, very strange, and I'm telling him I don't want to have a conversation. There's literally nothing to talk about.
You know what probably happened, y'all? He got in the apartment the first time and then realized that he could use that as a reason to get in front of her, to see her again. Okay. And what is he going to do as soon as he sees her again? He's going to put hands on her. Right. So then he realized, wait, I could probably use this as an excuse. Like, oh, I need to get my stuff to get back up there when she gets back to see her again. So he probably left his stuff there because she said she grabbed his stuff and gave it to him, which means he got in the apartment the first time and didn't grab his stuff. Okay. So another safety tip is when you're trying to detach from a male, a lot of times they'll just make excuses just so they can get an opportunity to abuse you some more. Literally, that's what, because their ego is hurt. So they're trying to take that on you physically a lot of times, right? Either physically or psychologically, they're trying to take it out on you, okay? And they want you to be there so that they can take out that frustration and anger on you, right? So anything that I got to grab this, I got to do this, it's usually just an excuse to get you there so that they can take it out on you, okay? And have another go around. So you have to cut it. It doesn't matter what the excuse has nothing to do with you. That's not your problem. Your safety has to be first, right? Mm-hmm.
At that point, I was over it. There's so much that has gone on, so much egregious, nefarious things that have gone on in this relationship. I did not want to talk. Security asked me in front of him, do you want to talk to him? I said, no. They said, listen, sir, she does not want to have a conversation with you. You need to go. They had tried to physically restrain him because he was trying to physically attack me. And he stood in the hallway and he was just like, no, it's fine. She's good. I'm not touching her. He always does that. Like, he'll try to be like, oh, he'll put his hands on me and be like, I'm not putting my hands on you. But you are. He told them I'm not touching her, blah, blah. At that point, I slid against the wall. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I think I have a little video clip of that. I'll try to add that to this, actually.
Be careful with guys that dress like hobos. I don't know why these younger women go for guys that dress like this. If he dresses like this is hobo looking, okay? Don't go for a guy that dresses like a hobo, okay? He's probably DL. This male gives me DL vibes. And I tell y'all all the time, if a male puts hands on you, there's a good chance he's gay, okay? And maybe doesn't even realize that he's gay, all right? Because if you like women, you're not putting your hands on them, okay? So that's a gay male, all right?
After the incident with security, they were finally able to get him to leave, and he left. Though he called me all night long, he finally did leave my property. Next thing you know, I go to sleep. I wake up early in the morning. He's at my door. He's pushing himself inside the door. I open the door to see who was outside the door, and he's pushing himself inside. Apparently, he had bypassed security, or actually, I don't think he bypassed them. I think that they were in on it because he did say, which was confirmed, and I'll release all of this video footage by the security guard, that the woman downstairs spoke to him and showed him some group chat between the security guards discussing the incident from the night prior. He also did say that he was somehow able to come up. He went through the elevator, which again requires a security card. He went through the residential door unit, which requires security, and he got to my door. He pushed himself inside, and the first thing he did was try to force himself upon me. I did not want to have sex with him, and I just completely was like over it. I was obviously still upset from the night before. He did not care. He wanted to have sex at that point. I was telling him to leave. I told him I did not want him to be there. I told him several times, and ultimately, I guess maybe a couple hours later, this went on for a little while, a physical fight started. It started when he picked me up and by my face, and he slammed me on the couch, and he called me a stupid effing B. And then he just continued to grab grab my face in the palm of his hand, smashed his face in there, and just kept palming me, snatching me, squeezing my face. My lips are busting at this point. My mouth filled up with blood. My nose filled up with blood. He's throwing me around. At one point, he slams my head against the bathroom wall. He's spitting loogies in my face over and over. He slams my head against the toilet. He's holding me against the toilet. He's smashing my face against the toilet. He's dragging me all over the apartment. I'm actually trying to fight back. I am hitting. I am swinging. I am scratching. But obviously, he's much bigger than me. I'm like 140 pounds. I'm 5'10" though. And he is like 6'3", 200 pounds. So there was a very obviously uneven power struggle there. I continued to swing at him. At one point, I did hit him right here, and he got really mad at that. I realized the more I fought back, the more upset that he was. So he came up to me, he grabbed me by the face, literally by the face and the neck, and picked me up and slammed me on the floor. I believe that is when I got a concussion, as ruled by the hospital later on. While I was on the floor, he then punched me in the eye. My eye's looking a lot better now, but it was like really looking bad. He hit me in the eye, and then he hit me again in the face. So I'm on the floor. My face is swelling up. My nose is bleeding. My mouth is bleeding, and I can't even open my left eye. Literally, the moment it happened, it immediately started swelling, and it was just a mess. From that point, I lost consciousness, and I started shaking, and I just remember begging him to take me to the hospital. I knew that he wasn't going to let me go anywhere alone. I knew he would let me make any phone calls because he took my phone. So at that point, I just started begging him to take me to the hospital. I started begging him to take me to the hospital after my body started convulsing. I had a concussion by that time, and my eye was bulging, lips bleeding, everything bleeding, nose leaking, everything happening. The reason that I begged him to take me to the hospital is because I knew that otherwise he wasn't going to he wouldn't leave the apartment, and I wasn't going to get out of the apartment. And I kept on saying, that I'm going to die. Like, you're going to kill me if you keep me in here. Because I don't know. Okay. All right. So, I finally convinced him to take me to the hospital, and he said he was going to take me to the hospital, and he starts he starts looking for things, getting things. I'm like still trying to fight him off me. He's like trying to put me into little corners of my house, like, sit right here, don't move, sit right here, don't move, sit right here. Like he threw me over his shoulder. He tried to carry me to the bed, put ice on my eye. I'm just like, please take me to the hospital. I don't want you to give me ice. I don't want any of this. Take me to the hospital right now. He finally then walks out of my apartment with me to take me to the hospital. He grabs my keys. He grabs my phone. He's holding my keys and phone the entire time. I don't have access to it. And everyone's like, why didn't you call the police? He had my keys and my phone. He then walks out to the parking garage, and
notice he had her keys and her phone. So I keep telling y'all, this is why I say the biggest, strongest advice I can give is have your own stuff, because the first thing they go for is restricting your freedom, restricting your space, right? Restricting your ability to move around. And this is also why I put a trigger warning, because it gets graphic. And this is an influencer that was posting this degenerate male all over the place, making it seem like they were in the perfect relationship. And this is what has been happening behind closed doors this whole time, right? So they try to restrict you if you have nowhere else to go, right? And so that's the first thing and most important thing you have to have, okay? And you have to protect before doing anything else related to a male species, if you're going to do that, because I know the youngins will try to learn the hard way, but at least do that, okay?
We walk out to the parking garage. I see a man in my distance that seemed like he was kind of bigger. So I'm like, okay, he might be able to help me. So I start screaming at the top of my lungs when I see someone finally. I scream, help, help, help. So the man finally comes over to help, and he then picks me up, throws me over his shoulder, and starts running me back towards the apartment, towards the residential hall doors to get me back into my apartment. I was like, no, I was holding on to everything in sight. I was holding on to doors, holding on my nail.
She was screaming for help to a male, and that male that she was asking for help from grabbed her and dragged her back into the apartment. This is why I say, if you want to be safe, surround yourself with women. It's the only way. Okay. It takes longer to build. It takes longer to find the women that you can like surround yourself with, but it's way more worth it, because a male is not going to protect you. They're going to take you right back to the predator. And all throughout history, this is what has been happening. Even during the times where women were enslaved, they caught you. If they caught you, they would take you back to the predator, whoever was putting hands on you, whoever. That's over 95% of males. So that's the risk you're taking. So it's not that all of them do that. It's a high percentage of them that do that. That's the risk. You're just taking a significantly higher risk, right? So that's why I always say your best bet is to surround yourself with other women. Even me, I think I've told this story. I was on the school bus. We were like in high school or something. No. I think we were in middle school. And my little brother was like in wherever he's like younger than me, whatever grade he was in, but we were taking the same school bus, and some male tried to bully him on the school bus. And I was fuming. I don't even know what I was thinking. I stood up to the male because I witnessed the bullying, and I was like, you don't bully my little brother. It was like the whole school bus was like watching, you know, because my little brother was just sitting there like this, right? And he stopped from that day forward. Actually, he started hitting on me from there on. But, you know, yeah. So women are better protectors than males are. You need to surround yourself with other women. Not all of them. A lot of them are male-centered. So, but it's more worth the work that you put in to find those women than it is for you to be attached to a male that most likely isn't going to do jack squat for you if you're in trouble. You know what I mean?
Nails are literally feel all loose. I'm like holding on to things, scratching things, grabbing everything, grabbing the floor, grabbing everything, grabbing the door frames, putting my feet in the door frame so that he could not get me into the door. Then the man comes and he's like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? He starts talking to the guy. He's like distracted or something. I go, or I guess like the guy intervened. I don't really know. There was something happened that distracted him that allowed me to get from his arms at that point. If we were sitting right here, directly perpendicular to the elevator.
So now she's having to keep herself safe from two predators, two males, right? Now she's having to fight and keep herself safe from two males.
I run to the elevator. A couple is in there. They run out. I guess they're super scared. He runs in there after me, trying to grab me. I sit down. I crouch down on the elevator floor, and I grab the bar, like, I don't know, it's the support bar, like the pull or whatever. I grab it and I'm holding onto it for dear life. The guy follows us in the elevator. He's like, hey, stop. Because he saw like the whole debacle on the floor with him trying to get me through the doors. And I was like, at one point I was laying on the floor. He was like trying to drag me. He was throwing me over shit. He just couldn't get me through the doors back into the apartment because I had already started screaming help and I knew someone heard me and saw me. So going back, I'm in the elevator and I'm holding on to the pole for dear life. And he's trying to pull me by my legs and grab me and pull me out of the elevator and such. The guy I was screaming for help originally. He came in the elevator. He's like, dude, let her go. I don't know what's going on. You can't do this, all these things. And he's just like frantically pacing at this point. He doesn't know what to do. I'm talking about Ronan, because he knows like there's someone else there and he can't get me alone again. So the guy was just like, shut the elevator door, get out of the elevator. And for some reason he listened. And so the guy got in the elevator with me. Ronan left out of the elevator and it was just me and the guy. And at that point I knew that I was going to be safe. I was going to be able to at least get to a phone and make some calls. So I was crouched in the corner of the elevator and the guy was like, it's okay. You don't have to sit down. Just stand up. You're going to be fine. Stand up. I'm here. Just, we're going to be okay. And I was just still crouching. He was like, no, come here. Just stand up. Let go of the bar. You're fine. So I let go and I stood up and we were finally at the first floor. I walked straight to the lobby desk and I said, hey, I need you to call the police right now. Again, my whole face is dripping. The girl at the front desk is just looking at me. Another security guard told me that girl at the front desk, she's new. She's quite young. One of the other security guards, and I have the footage, he told me that the girl was younger, she's a young black girl, she's new, and I think that he might have been also cool with her, because he was making security guards friends with them in my building so that he could get access to my unit and such. That she was likely the one who let him up. So when I told her to call the police, she kind of froze and she just stood there with the phone in her hand, just looking at me. I think there's like a housekeeping knock and I got scared. Hold on. Okay, I heard a knock at my door and my heart dropped. I think I'm just going to end this one right here. So at the end of the day, I begged him to take me to the hospital. He agreed. He took me to the parking garage. I kicked and screamed once I got to the garage because I saw other people. Again, I didn't call anyone or do anything. He had my keys. He had my cell phone. Someone helped me. I fought my way to the elevator. They helped me downstairs to the lobby. I knew I would be able to call the police from the front desk. And this part ends with me at the front desk and the girl. There's a big commotion at the lobby at this point. I'm yelling to call the police. Other people are actually saying call the police too. The girl's kind of frozen and she finally starts dialing the police. He runs around the back of the building, bursts in. He has no shirt on. He's sweating. He looks crazy. He's like, don't call the police. He tells the girl, do not call the police. I'm going to handle this. I'm taking her to the hospital. We're going to handle this together. Do not call the police. The girl's just looking at him. The leasing agent comes down and he's like, no, call the police, call the police. She gets on the phone with the police. The leasing agents, some other security guards, people who work there, they took me to the back and they put me in a room. It was like the leasing office actually. And they locked the door and such. They brought me water and they said, we're going to call an ambulance. I didn't even ask for one. They just looked at my face and knew I needed one. The ambulance arrived and they said that I needed to go to the hospital to be checked out. I ended up going to the hospital. They gave me a CAT scan, MRI. I had to get IVs in my arm. It was really terrible experience. They actually gave me morphine because I was in so much pain. At that point, my eye was completely shut. It was really painful. And they also took record of my other injuries because, like I said, this has been going on for a long time. And right before I had even went on my trip, I also had gotten abused. And even, you can't even see it right here, he had like hit me in the chest and I was already battered. So they were just taking record of all of these injuries, including the new ones. And the LAPD came. The LAPD came to the hospital. They asked me what happened. I told them everything. I told them I wanted to move forward with pressing charges. I told them that I wanted a emergency protective order, which I do have. So I do have a restraining order. I am getting it extended to the normal restraining.
Always move forward with pressing charges. Always move forward with trying or putting in the request to get a restraining order as well. Okay, that is definitely something that's important to do.
He actually tried to call me while I was in the hospital. I did not answer. I told him to stop calling me. And I said, I'm in the hospital, stay away from me. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of everything. I wasn't going to come on social media and say anything, but I woke up the next day after having to go to a hotel. Now, on that, the police and the hospital staff could not release me if I didn't show proof that I had an alternate place to stay. I could not go back to my apartment because now it's just considered a straight up safety issue. We don't know.
You see? Okay, so that's another reason why I chose this video, because I was like, this is a good one, right? Why do I always tell y'all, don't bring a male into your space? Why? It's your safe space. What happens when you bring a male into it and now you have to escape, but the male knows exactly where you live? You just like that, you gave up your safe space just by telling him where you're at, where you live, right? So don't do it. I do not recommend. Now, she had to go to an alternate location. What's she probably going to have to do here? Now she's probably going to have to figure out how to move. And if you have a house, how are you going to, you can't just pick up and move, right? Even if you have an apartment, now you're going to be spending thousands trying to figure out, okay, where can I move to? Where can I go? You know, you're going to have to move because it's a safety concern. It's a safety issue, especially when we're talking about cases that are as severe as potentially being able to lead to femicide. Okay, so you need that safe space to stay safe, right? If you do tell the male for whatever reason and you live in a house or in an apartment, just make sure you have camera. I have cameras all over my house. You know, have cameras, you know, safety first. Have locks on your doors, extra locks, additional locks, alarms, right? You know, but the safest thing to do is to just not tell them. That's the safest thing to do. But I know that if there's, like, say there's a youngin that's with a male and they've been with the male for 2 years, it might be too late for that. Or if you're talking to some male and it's been a year or 2 years, it might be harder to keep that information. So just make sure you have other safety tools, at least, like cameras, extra locks on your doors, right? Like people knowing location wise, you know, what your, you know, neighbors, women friends, you know, things like that, you know, because it's a safety issue now. It's a safety concern. Her whole safe environment is compromised. They can't even let her go back there because he knows where she lives and he was able to get in. And males are, again, predators. So the whole time they're dating, he's probably making friends with the staff, the you know, and she's none the wiser. He's probably making friends, you know, this and that. So when they see him, there's less resistance as far as like letting him in because they've probably seen him with her a million times, right? Mm-hmm.
Know where he is. I know he's like contacting people and such that I know, but we don't know where he's at. He has not made contact.
So we're starting to wrap up now. We just have like maybe 3 or 4 minutes left of the video. So we're just starting to wrap up. I don't want to like end it abruptly, right?
The police. He does not, they went to the address that I gave him. He's not there. I don't know what he's doing, but I do know that after getting to the hotel, I've been here for 2 days now. I wake up on social media and he's posting things. And that's basically how we got here. I guess I'll get into that. What he posted on social media was a supportive message from my sister. To be clear, my sister and I had a falling out about the European trip that I went on. Actually, let me make this its own video.
Guys, this is one of the most heartbreaking love story or tragedy I have ever.
So y'all keep in mind that, look, falling out with the sister or whatever the case, it doesn't justify what's on her face. Okay, so any sister that is like against you and with your predator just because you had a falling out or whatever, because that doesn't justify what I'm looking at right now. Like I'm looking at this face and what's on her face, and that's unjustifiable, right? So again, understand that when you pick, you can pick which women that you want around you. It doesn't have to be a family member just because they're family. Okay, it doesn't have to be someone that that you've known just because you went to the same school together, right? You pick with intention, right? Because just because they're family doesn't mean that they'll have any brain cells, right? Because what kind of falling out would make you speak against your sister that has this on her face, and you're able to see that this is what's happening, right? So don't feel, especially if you're younger, don't feel like that it's you. Just understand that just because they're family doesn't mean anything. Right? So it's not you. It's not that there's anything wrong with you or like your family is this. You didn't get to choose the family. So just because they're family doesn't mean anything. They could be terrible people and still be family members. Right? So pick with intention or just go mostly solo. That's also, as long as you take all the other safety tips, that's also fine. You know, but even if your family members don't support you, process through that emotionally, but don't try not to take that like, oh, they should support me because they're family, because that will hurt more if you're thinking about it in that way, as opposed to realistically where family is random. No one chooses that, right? So just because they're family doesn't mean that they're going to be supportive of you. Doesn't mean that they're even going to be good people. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing to keep in mind. And that brings us to the end of the video. Mm-hmm.
ever seen, like watched on social media. I feel like everybody betrayed her. I feel like there's this big gang up against her, from the security to the reception to her sister. And let's talk about that man. I went through their page and they have this lovely lifestyle, this extravagant lifestyle, this beautiful couple. And if you watch their video, you'll be thinking that, oh, this guy is very rich. This guy is spoiling her with money, not knowing that he don't have a job. This guy is the person paying all the bill. Upon that, he has the audacity to lay his hands on her. I wish we women will understand that sometimes it's better to be alone than to be with somebody who will bring nothing to you than pains.
Please.
I honestly sympathize with her. You should go to TikTok and check them out. I don't know if she's still posting a lot of series. This is the one I want to bring to you guys, because honestly, I post a lot of videos about these couple channels. And when I was watching her story, I take like some time to go through her channel, her page, and see the beautiful display of love they have. Then I ask myself, what is happening behind closed door? Like those people who post couple channel, some of them may be facing this kind of thing, but they will come out to masquerade and this happy, lovely couple to the internet. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about this. This changed my view about couple channel. Honestly, this changed my view totally about these couple channels we see, because I can't believe that, like, the contrast between their videos of last month to the video they post now is like way too different. Because from being perfect couple who goes to vacation, who ride on one of the biggest car, to this kind of story.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
You're thinking about going to therapy. And
So that's the end of the video, y'all. So that's why I strategically picked this video for this topic, you know. So you heard her talking about it at the end too. Even her mind was changed, and she covers this type of thing all the time. The safest thing you can do is pick yourself and figure out what makes you happy. What do you want to do? What life do you want to live that doesn't involve giving up your power to anyone else? Because if you're saying, oh, I can only be happy if I'm married, then you're wanting to give up your power to a male species. It's not possible. Okay. You can't be, you can't, someone else can't make you happy. You have to build that on your own. Right. There's no way around that. There's no shortcut. Right. And all these beauty couple channels, yup, Freedom 33, period. All these couple channels, they never, ever end well. There was another one that I could have shown you. There's like a few that I could have shown y'all, but I felt like this one was a good one for what we're talking about today. We'll go through the other ones as we pick, you know, I don't know if they're just topics that we need to start covering more, probably, you know. So thank you to the person that recommended the topic in the community section. I can't remember who did it, but they're still on the community section. They recommended this topic. And it was an IPG girly. So that's something that you have to be aware of, that you're watching all these couple channels, you're just wasting your time. You know, it's like, do you even want a kid? Are you going to be happy? Like knowing that you're bringing a child into this world that doesn't even like children. Are you sure? It's okay, but can you build the resources to make sure that the kid at least has a chance, a fighting chance, you know, with the resources that you build, while at the same time making sure that that kid isn't spoiled or doesn't acquire any bad attributes because you basically already gave them resources to start with. You got to think about these things. But first and foremost, you always have to think about your safety. The males aren't going to be thinking about that. There was an Airbnb. So we're wrapping up now, coming to the end of the live. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Patty. Patty says, thank you for your time today that you shared with us. Thank you guys. So there was an Airbnb video, and it was about Airbnbs. And let me tell y'all another safety tip. Don't use Airbnbs when you travel. If you're traveling by yourself, don't use Airbnbs. Or if you're all ladies traveling, use a hotel, because I got locked out of the Airbnb and it was like 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. because they towed my car, the rental car, and the keys were in the rental car. And guess what? The Airbnb manager was sleeping. There was no way of getting inside. So I'm stuck in a foreign country with no way of getting back inside, girl. Don't use Airbnb, especially if you travel by yourself. But even if you're a group of girlies, like, just try not to use Airbnb, because at least with hotels, there's more people. You can get a spare key. There's usually always someone there, even at night. So from a safety perspective, even I had to go through that experience before thinking, like, I didn't even prioritize my own safety in that situation, because it's true. Like, now you're locked out, now what, right? So I had to go get a hotel, grab a Uber, get a hotel. But thankfully, because who knows, that I was so nervous, because you never know if the Uber driver is a rapist or a lunatic in the middle of a foreign country, right? So that's why I got the rental to begin with, right? So yeah, so always prioritize the safety first, because by the time it gets to the femicide part, it's game over, right? By the time it gets there, that's it, right? And always understand that any behaviors that the males exhibit, it's not going to be about you. There's nothing you can do about the behaviors they exhibit. It's about them. And if they change, if they didn't show you that at first and they change in the middle, then it's done. They changed. It's not what it used to be. That's not what you signed up for. You should actually be more outraged, because it's kind of like, okay, but that's not what you said you were going to be. That's not what you told me you were going to be. You should actually be more upset about that. Because, like, did you trick me? I don't even care what you did. I'm out. Okay. It's too dangerous. It's a safety concern. Right. So y'all, that's about it for today. So yeah, co-living is better. Co-living is nice. Hopefully I'll be able to do something close to that when I'm older. Maybe like just have like really at least two close women friendships, or even co-living would be kind of like, is more like a dream. I feel like co-living as an older person. So hopefully I'll be able to do it, but we'll see, when I'm older, because right now I'm kind of used to. But yeah, I agree. Co-living is a lot safer. It's better. It really is. It's as long as you're living with other women, don't live with a male species. There was another story I saw a few weeks ago, and she was roommates with a male, and the male unalived her. She was a Instagram influencer. It was like a big story, and the male, I guess, was jealous of her the whole time, or maybe rejected him. It was like a super ugly male too. I mean, like, seriously. And he unalived her, and it was like a story in the news and everything. Youngin, right? Which is why I was like, you know what? Like, in my profession, I more do the business side now, but I'm like, this is the easiest way for me to reach like youngins, and like, because older women might already be trapped in that marriage, and that's a different situation, But these are safety tips that apply regardless, no matter what. Even if you've been married for 10 years, did he change from the beginning? Well, if he changed, it's time to go. Okay, because that's not what you signed up for. That's not what that wasn't the agreement, right? If he changed in a sense where it's like he's putting hands on you and doing crazy stuff, it's time to go. That's not what I signed up for. You lied. This is a drastic change, right? It defies all reason. It's not a reasonable change, right? But then it gets more complicated, because you have to take, again, that safety piece is harder if you are like living with a male and you're married to him and you've been married to him for a long time. But planning becomes the best way. I'm making so IPGG Lux. I just revamped the website because I felt like the other website was just so not cute. Like, I've been needing to do this project for a long time, because I make all my websites myself. So they take quite a bit of time. So I finally revamped the IPGG Lux website, and I'm making like more digital planners and organizers, but there's some that are already out, right? So how to find your purpose. I put it in the form of a guide to help ladies find more of their purpose if that's something that they're struggling with. The one I'm working on right now is a divorce guide to help ladies through divorce, because so many of them will just stay there and it's like, it's not worth it. You only get one life, but you got to plan for it. If you're already attached to this male, it's a little bit different in the planning, right? But all of the same safety tips still apply. Mace, tasers, put cameras in the house if you don't already have cameras in the house and it's a dangerous male, maybe put them in the house, maybe don't tell them about it, if you feel like you can do that. So all the tips still apply, but if you're trying to get out, you might have to do a little bit more planning in order to get out. So I'm making a divorce planner as well. But so these are like digital downloads, and you download them immediately after you get them. So more of these projects is what I'm working on the back end to try to reach more ladies from the safety perspective as well, kind of combining them. But so those are the tips that we have for this video. I'll leave another, what was I saying? I'll probably do another poll next week in the community section for y'all to vote on what the next topic will be for us. And then we'll kind of go from there. But it was fun. So we're about to get off. This is the longest live I think I've ever done in my entire existence. I was like, I need to like figure out like how to pair the intro and stuff, because the intro runs so long sometimes that it's like, girl, this is super long. It's a whole live on its own, right? But that's about it, y'all. Keep up with the community section. Keep up in the podcast section, because I drop podcasts for the most part every week, 2 to 3 times a week. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for joining, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.